is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Tuesday, the 17th of September, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Online options are coming to alleviate the long lines for persons seeking to pay their property tax. This, according to Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, who was a guest on the Power Breakfast show yesterday morning. Minister Manning said the government is well aware of the long lines that have been reported of persons seeking to pay property tax, and they are looking for ways to help. The deadline for property tax is September 30th, 2024. And as the deadline looms, there are reports of very long lines of persons trying to pay before the end of the month. The London-based Privy Council dismissed the matter brought by the Public Services Association, challenging the implementation of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. Reports said found no constitutional prohibition against the arrangement made in the TTRA Act. The TTRA is meant to replace the Customs and Excise Division and the Board of Inland Revenue. The PSA, however, brought legal action, and the customs officer, who by way of her attorney cited as unconstitutional sections of the TTRA Act. Her claim was based mainly on Section 18 of the legislation, which was proclaimed by President Christine Kangaloo last year. The section requires employees of the Inland Revenue Division and the Customs and Excise Division to decide whether or not they will be voluntarily resigning from the public service and accepting a transfer to another public service department or agreeing to transfer to the TTRA. In May, the Court of Appeal dismissed the PSA and Dory's appeal against the decision delivered by High Court Judge Westman James, who found that the implementation of the TTRA was not unlawful. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Colin Ember posted on X yesterday and saying the Privy Council was published its decision in the constitutionality and the challenge to the TT Revenue Authority. He posted, quote, "We won the case. This required tremendous effort against the relentless opposition from the UNC and the PCA. We can now modernize revenue collection in Trinidad and Tobago." After months of deadlock, there may be a way to resolution in the impasse between the Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas and the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, as both parties have agreed to discuss a request to examine the bank's electronic check clearing system. The development may please Colin Ember, the Minister of Finance, who in Parliament on September 9th hoped that such a meeting would take place and release much tensions. But meanwhile, Ember said Ramdas is yet to set a date in response to the CCTB's request to meet. Guardian Media understands she is yet to receive any such invitation. A patriot, humble, and always willing to help people, willing to share his knowledge with others, and a family man are some of the accolades attributed to the late veteran musician and saxophonist Dr. Roy Cape from Joanne Cape Julie and his daughter. She highlighted these traits of her father while giving the eulogy at his funeral service held at the National Academy for the Performing Arts yesterday, Monday. Joanne cited his ability to multitask, his philanthropic skills and love to help others, strong work ethic, and other characteristics of her father. She also thanked all of those who supported her family during this solemn time. Culture Minister Roy Cape's family, Winston Gypsy Peters, said the musical icon loved Trinidad and Tobago. Meanwhile, Energy Industries and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young, also paid tribute to the musical icon. He said Cape and others brought Trinidad and Tobago out of colonialism. International news music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who faces a parade of sexual assault lawsuits and a federal human trafficking probe in the last year, has been arrested. Combs, who has been in New York City since last week, was arrested on Monday at Park Hyatt Hotel on 57th Street in Manhattan and taken into custody by Homeland Security investigators at approximately 8:15 p.m. The arrest was made based on an indictment, which is expected to be unsealed Tuesday morning today, according to a statement from Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. The charges and details of the case brought against Combs is unclear at this time. And finally, the suspected gunman in the apparent assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump has appeared before a court in Florida. Ryan Wesley Routh, 58, is charged with federal gun crimes, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of a firearm with an obstructed serial number. Routh was hiding on the edge of Trump's Florida golf course for nearly 12 hours, court documents show. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
To you, it is the 17th day of September. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Of course, full cast in, except for Wendell Stephen. We'll have Dr. Paul Richard. You just heard him with our news brief. Richard Ragoobarsingh will join us. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix, of course. My name is Steve Khan. 26 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 27 at Crown Point in Tobago, and Met Office has not updated their weather forecast for today as yet. Traffic-wise, Couva to Sugar Guanas, and volume from Charleville to interchange heading into Port of Spain. That's going to change in 5 minutes. You know that already. All right. Good morning to you, Pablo.
You're eating the dogs.
Oh, you come back with that.
You're eating the cats. You're eating all the pets.
Make America safe again, says the cats.
For the pets. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Steve.
And you like that line, huh?
You're eating the dogs. I've never heard more lunacy, to be very honest. And this is somebody looking to run. It was running for president of the United States of America. You're eating the dogs.
A guy made a song about it to them.
And he's just so mental, let me tell you. But you get what you pay for.
Yeah, pretty much. He's behind in the latest polls.
No, he ain't that behind her. People keep getting like if she's that far ahead. She's not that far ahead. Okay.
6 weeks again?
She's not that far ahead.
Be interesting.
And she's not that far ahead in the polls in the swing states that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go out and vote and make sure they organize to manage that man forever, including Republicans. You're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eating all the pets. Guys, what do you want for president? Guys, what do you want with the nuclear codes in his hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Commander-in-Chief. All right. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. I tell you, Wendy and James got Celia B.V. Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago, Boy Badesi down in Dabe, Anthony Tinto out in Canada, Ontario, Oliver Man Warren, DJ Ray, Ewart Rajpal, Maria Celia, Wayne Bennett in Covington, Georgia. How about Ice Sasha out in London, Gloria Gray, Panton, good morning to you, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares, Marcia Rock out in Orlando, Nikki Shapir out in Brazil Village, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, Bisnath Passad, Ingrid Adams out in Brooklyn, Carol Guevara in Chigagonas, DP, Shuin Ku, Michael Robinson out in Yokohama, Japan. Good morning. Lister Lodge, CJ New York, Richard P. Knights, Carol Joseph, John Cato, Wayne Wolfie out in Ontario. Good morning to you. You guys are great. And Trevor Arima, Anthony in Toronto, Captain Ron in Boston. Somebody says 99 days till Christmas. All right. Gotta love a Christmas.
Good morning.
Dan Rand, David Nelson, GNC Auto Security. Good morning. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning to One Caribbean Media, OCM, and TV6 for giving us true credit last night in the newscast when you used our interview with Brian Manning. And good morning to Guardian Media, who did not in the Guardian this morning. You see, on a radio interview, Guardian, we're not going to take away audience for the credit where the interview came from. We're using one of your stories this morning, and we say
give you
Guardian Media in the story when we credit you all because it is right to credit where the source came from, Guardian Media.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Express and OCM, for the credit and the use of the interview piece last night and for having the integrity to credit us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I tell you.
See where there's one last?
You said it, not me.
Too much?
You said it, not me.
Just see where it come from, homie. See where it come from.
I'm sure there are long lines right now in Tunapuna to pay property tax.
Well, Brian Manning made news all over the place with our interview yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Mr. Minister Manning. Thank you so much for your time yesterday.
Yes.
I got a text from his boss last night.
What his boss told you?
I think he sent it to many other members of the media also. He sent a buff.
Oh.
Press release titled Unprofessional and Biased Reporting by the Media on Global Forum 2024 Bill. Mm-hmm.
He hasn't announced the budget date yet, right?
No, I think the Honorable Prime Minister is back in the country, so now it may be appropriate to announce the date. He's in the Senate this afternoon, Minister Imba.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll do it then. I don't know.
You don't know.
My sources tell me it's going to be September 30th.
Mm-hmm. Which is less than 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13 days.
Well,
I find they should just put that online. That's my opinion.
Tendency to. It's at the September 30th or October 7th. I think, let me see. 30th, because there's a time frame within which it must be passed there. And they have like 3 weeks, 2 weeks in the House and then Standing Finance Committee.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks of that, and it has to come to the Senate. So September 30th.
Not to push
it into the end of October.
There we go, folks. You heard it here first.
Yeah, so October is pushing it a bit. It'll push it too far to the end of October, which is not when government financial year ends. So I guess, September 30th.
Yeah, Daniel Knight said October is pushing it too. So,
Yeah, so I think so. It's going to have 2 weeks in the House after it's read. And then a week in the Senate, which will take it to October 18th, thereabouts. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So by logic and reasoning, you know the date of the budget.
Yeah. What would you like to see in the budget, Paul?
More of a focus and understanding that there is a whole group of people in the country who have been struggling since COVID-19. Well, before, but more so, that group has increased in size. And I think there is an underestimation of how many people are struggling month to month. And I'm not only talking about handouts here, because handouts do already solve the problem. Handouts is a temporary fix. Grants are a temporary fix. Some sort of mechanism for financial independence, including a little more focus on sustainable entrepreneurship with micro and small size businesses, because the pandemic all but wiped out a lot of small and micro businesses. And some medium-sized businesses, quite frankly. And those people have had to find ways to feed their families. I mean, the central bank report of last week indicated the The unemployment rate is just over 5%. I think it's 5.3% now. That's a little increase. And that there are 2,700 people actively looking for jobs. Of course, we know it's a gross underestimation. So I think there needs to be a recognition and acknowledgement that there are thousands and thousands of people struggling.
Yeah.
I get the sense, and
I see it every day. We have people coming.
I see people.
We have people coming in the pet butler, more than one, asking if we're looking for people to work. And
even when they get work, it's not really sustainable work. It's just work to pay for taxi fare to go to work the next day and barely feed your family and pay whatever rent you have to pay. And now that property tax has started to be implemented, we will see some unscrupulous landlords probably raising their rents already, which was part of the concern. And there's no rent control board in place in this country. So if they tell you my rent raising in 6 months, which they would have been done 6 months ago when the conversation about property tax started, they would have. I see moving trucks all the time, and that's people who just can't pay their rent. So I think some sort of acknowledgement and recommendation as to the scale of people who are living below the poverty line now. And the last poverty scan was 2014. And I've been searching for a new scan. I think there was an announcement that it was going to be some sort of census done. Still waiting by the Ministry of Planning. And I don't know how they can operate in a space where they don't have updated statistical information on how the population is doing, and how many more people have fallen below the poverty line and are struggling day to day. I know people, and I've said it before, if you have 3 children, you send 2 to school for 3 days and 2 to school for the next 2 days, or 1 to school for the next 2 days, because they just don't have the money to send these children to school. And they send them to school because there's a school feeding program to make sure they have a meal. Because without going to school, they just don't get a fully nutritious meal every day. So they make sure they go to school, and this is commendable. We have to commend the government for keeping that school feeding program going, because in many, many cases, those young people that's the only full nutritious meal they get.
Substantial meal
when their family can afford to send them to school. Their school children, as you well know, even at university level, I have students who come to me and say, "Sir, I didn't get anything to eat today, so I'm not feeling well. So I might be participating in class." They tell me that. So you have to give them money out of your pocket and go to the cafeteria and get something to eat, because you can't function in the class if you didn't eat already. It's university students,
Yeah.
You understand? But they're trying to better their lives by getting a degree. And sometimes they tell you they can't afford the books. The tuition is mostly free. You have to pay the registration. So they struggle, and the parents pay the registration, but they can't buy the books.
Yeah. That is,
so,
yeah,
a lot of
right.
other people struggling, and it's struggling in this country. And I think the budget needs to, in some ways, deal with that.
You're right.
Not business as usual. Post-pandemic, it's not business as usual.
It's not. I mean, there are people on the streets of Trinidad that are literally homeless.
Yeah.
Homeless. They're not crazy, they're not anything, they just have nowhere to live.
But for many different reasons. Some is poverty, some is family turmoil, some is drugs, drug addiction. So there are many different reasons. Some are mental health issues. There's very, very many different. Not everyone who is living on the streets is there because of the same reason. You know,
all different types of reasons.
All kinds of reasons. And yes, poverty is one of them.
Yeah.
Poverty as a result of homelessness as a result of poverty is one of the main reasons people just find themselves on the street and struggling. You know, I mean, I see, as you know, my aunt and I try to cook and do lunch boxes at least once a month, and the lines are just getting longer and longer. And you're seeing younger and younger people coming in the line to get the free box of food.
Yeah, I mean,
they're younger and younger and younger. So
yeah, I mean, I have told this story a few times, where a young man came here. He's begging. He's under 20. I was on air, and security said there was a guy outside there. And I went and I gave him some money, and we had some T-shirts here. I gave him that. I organized for him to go to a job interview at SWAT. Thank you, Aaron Henry. Aaron said, well, tell him come tomorrow. He did not go the next day. He went the day after, all spruced up. He got his hair and he got a job. And now he has purchased a few whackers and has hired another guy to help him. And he came back here to tell me thank you.
That's great.
And I see him every so often, and he is well groomed. So I guess things are going okay for him. You just need that little push. You just need a little hand.
People need different things.
People need different things.
And more and more people are in need, and most people are living, not most, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
I think.
Literally paycheck to paycheck. So I don't know if it's most, because I have no data to reference. Mm-hmm. Two sad situations. Two armed bandits robbed the Pavilion Bar, which is right next to the Aruka police station. And that's a big police station. That's Strange Junction.
Huge. Right to Aruka Junction, yeah?
Yeah.
Right next door?
Right next to the police station. Last week, Friday. They didn't carry the police station next door, They walk in and they're up. This is a hold up. And sadly, there was a fire in, is it Penal? And then people came on and robbed the house where the fire was. And I'm seeing reports of another sad home invasion.
Yeah.
I will tell you. It's a lot happening.
It's a lot. I was just looking, before we came on the air, I was looking for some good news. Yeah.
Well, good news. There seems to be some sort of amicable resolution in sight for the issue related to the Auditor General Jayanti Ramdas and the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. And I was talking to two former senior officials of the Central Bank who both indicated to me on Saturday that they don't understand how the Central Bank could have refused Ms. Ramdas access, because part of the auditing process is, especially if you have a significant change in methodology, auditing the new change, the new system, to ensure that it meets best practice standards and that it will do the job and provide the accurate information that she requires to do her national audit. So they said that they're willing to meet, but she's saying in the papers this morning, she's being reported as saying in the papers this morning that she's received no such invitation. So I just don't understand how they could have refused to access in the first place, because she could ask anything she wants under the context of auditing the financials of the country by law.
Yeah.
And they both said also that the error that came in the $3.4 billion understatement is curious to them, because they have so many checks. There's so many checks and balances, or supposed to be, in the central bank. And they change systems from time to time, but what they do is run the new system parallel to the old system. So at the end of the process, they can reconcile what the old system, which they've been using, is saying, which would have been dependable, and what the new system is saying. So you can make a comparison. If there's a differential or disparity, one of the two went wrong, more than likely new system is not up to market, because the old system had been operating in the same way that had been giving you accurate information all the time. So this $3.4 billion undervaluing, because you institute a new system, was shocking to them, quite frankly, at the level of the central bank information. Shocking. And according to Minister Imber, when the officials at the Ministry of Finance Treasury Division picked it up, I mean, it was post the date, and then we knew what happened after that. So I don't know. It is just quite shocking to me also that occurred. Good morning, Mr. Ragoobarsingh.
Good morning, guys. And of course, good morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are.
How are you this morning, sir?
I'm good.
Did you buy a lotto ticket at Jumbo Foods and Barataria on Friday?
What?
Did you buy a lotto ticket at Jumbo Foods and Barataria on Friday?
Trying to mind your businesses. You wonder if you win the lottery.
Oh,
Somebody at Jumbo who bought a ticket Friday at Jumbo Foods and won $16 million. I thought it was Lotto Madness.
no, Lotto Madness has nothing to do with that in the sense, in the strict sense of the word. A Lotto Madness was 30 million. So, completely different figures.
Good morning, Ragoobarsingh. How was your
Good morning.
over the weekend?
Well, Saturday was fine, but Sunday was the place. We had great fun in South with Lotto Madness. And, of course, moving on to the next play, virtually immediately.
Oh, America Dance?
So I have a rehearsal today.
You get old and you have to slow down.
A rehearsal
But not you
today.
get when you're old.
A rehearsal. So I have a rehearsal today for the new play that's ongoing.
Did you have sight of our interview with Minister Brian Manning yesterday? Is he frozen already?
I didn't see it. I didn't hear it, but I heard part of it from what Wendell would have posted. I didn't realize that you all had interviewed him again yesterday.
Yeah, well, thanks to the quick, nimble fingers of Steve Kahn, we got him on yesterday morning. We asked him about the online situation, which he said was coming, which TV6 carried, and he credited us on that Guardian media this morning.
Oh, right.
So that he said that an online option is coming. They've taken note of the long lines. When we asked him why that wasn't contemplated before, given how long this property tax was becoming, he said they were doing other things as well.
Okay.
That other things doing. So the whole Ministry of Digital Transformation couldn't handle that for them. It's because they were doing other things. How long are they trying to get property tax back online now? Not years.
Yes.
It's been a long road, so I don't know that.
Did he indicate that the Ministry of Digital Transformation was involved?
No, he didn't specify that. But I'm sure they would have to be involved, given the nature of the ministry's purview. I have information which I can't quote because it was told to be in confidentiality, that there are 3 systems that could have been implemented a long time ago very easily to facilitate this. But I can't name the source, for it will compromise the source and get someone in trouble.
Drugs.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So he could not specify as to whether or not it would come before the September 30th. Neither could he say whether there would be an extension given the long lines of people. He did confirm that there were just about 400,000 eligible residential properties which supposed to pay property tax, and that just about 173,000 notices were given out. He also said that if you had not received a notice, there was no obligation on you at this time to pay property tax until you receive such notice.
Okay.
So we kind of...
That would clarify for some people who have not received who can say.
Yeah. And that of the 400,000 eligible properties, in some of those instances, one person can own, of course, more than one property, as we know.
Yeah.
So you pay on the properties that you've received the notice for. Like Wendell said yesterday, he received for one of his properties. You understand? So that's the one he pays. So if you didn't receive for the others, I mean, you can still go on then as you advise and get your number and make queries. You understand? If you want to be proactive, but there's no obligation on you to pay it if you haven't received that notice as yet. And 173,000 or so notices have been sent out from the valuation division. So we'll see how it goes. I think they should be heartened by the fact that so many people have to pay the property tax after all the hullabaloo. At some level.
Yeah.
You know, it was. I don't know if the lines are an indication that if they're keeping track from the 9 centers of how many people over the last couple of months have actually paid. I think they should be if you're being proactive as a ministry. You understand? To get a sense on a weekly basis what percentage of the 173,000 have already completed payments. So they will get a sense as to how effective those 9 payment centers are. Not so?
Well, yeah. I mean, but you could do the math. If 173,000 notices went out, it means you have theoretically 173,000 payments to be made.
When I'm talking about how many have been made already over the last couple months.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. It's a math thing.
Yeah, it's a math thing.
But I mean, you have 9 centers. There's only so many can be paid.
And I don't understand how a ministry.
Not 9. You have 14. 14 centers.
It's 14.
Yeah, 14.
All right, but I kept saying 9. I don't know where 9 came from. Let's say, all right, I apologize. 14.
Yeah.
14 centers for 173,000 potential payments, and more coming because I'm sure they're sending more notices all the time. That division will be continuing to work while the other divisions accept the payments. Not so?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
one would assume so.
And one would imagine that, okay, at minimum, if they're 400,000 eligible, and even if people own multiple properties, a little over 300,000 or somewhere over 300,000 payments need to be made. Not so?
Mm-hmm. But they're not even the halfway point. Well, according to what you're saying there, they're not even at the halfway point with the amount.
No, which is what we asked him yesterday. Not even at the 50% point.
No.
But when I asked him that, because we did raise that, he said, well, they can't say that because people own multiple properties, and we don't know what the scale of multiple property ownership is. Somebody couldn't 50 properties, In any case, I doubt it'll be under 300,000.
The math still doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
Even if there are 400,000 properties, okay, somebody may own 3
or 5.
It's still counted as 3 properties for which property tax is owed.
Is owed. So they reach halfway point yet.
Yeah. So you still haven't reached a halfway point. In terms of registered properties, in terms of
and also when you think about it, the only legal obligation the state had to start collecting was to have valuated 50%. Not so?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how much of the over 50% have actually been evaluated. You understand? That's another thing. We don't know how many have been, what the status of the evaluation process is past 50%, which would have been a legal barrier for them to be able to start collecting. So all of this,
Yeah.
But if you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, because we were doing other things.
And I don't understand what is the reluctance to give the extension, if there's reluctance.
Well, I don't think there's. I just think, based on, and this is my logic here, the Minister of Finance has, this is substantive now, Minister Imber, on more than one occasion extended the deadline for tax, the normal tax, right? Your income tax. Not so? Yeah. The other taxes that there have been extensions granted.
Yeah, you mean for the ones with no penalties, you mean?
Exactly, yeah. So with that in mind, and because of how successful those have been, according to the minister, in policy principle, I see, and because this is new, and because there are several obvious challenges, including the limited number of centers to pay, by logic, one would imagine that there's going to be an extension that he don't want to announce yet, because if he announced it, everybody will rock back. You understand?
Well, there's another thing running concurrent with that, Paul. I think part of the issue is the end of the fiscal year is due at September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that the government is trying to see, well, how much can we collect before September 30th?
Absolutely.
That would buffet the figures for fiscal
2024.
2024, but 2023,
2024.
Yeah, that ends on September 30th.
That's part of it too. More money
more money you get in there, the more money those figures look a little better.
Your deficit looks a little smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't seen that much smaller, but it's looking smaller.
So that's,
and given the fact that your deficit already increased because of the lowered energy commodity prices and the lower production levels that the minister announced some months ago.
Yeah.
The shortfall, it went, I think, from projected 4 point something to almost 8. You understand? $1 billion. So we'll see how it goes. It's all maths.
Yeah. So they may be saying, well, look, let's not, even though we are planning to give an extension, let's not do it until the last hour.
Yeah.
Because they know if they say, okay, we're giving an extension until December 31st,
They're going to rock back.
There will be a break in the stream.
They're going to rock back.
So they may say, look, and we want to get as much as we can before September 30th. I don't know if that's the thinking. I don't know.
But it's a logical line of thinking to me.
That's the thinking.
Minister Imbo was also in celebratory mood on X yesterday, formerly Twitter, where the Privy Council dismissed the matter brought by the Public Services Association, trying to debar the implementation of the TTRA Act. They said it was not unconstitutional, which upheld the Court of Appeal decision and High Court decision by Judge Westman James. So Minister Imber was in full celebratory mood on X yesterday. He said, we won! We won! We won! Now we can modernize revenue collection in TNT. We won the case. This required tremendous effort against the relentless opposition from the UNC and the PSC. And then I was telling Steve, he sent me, I'm sure other media people, both for the media yesterday.
Both for the media for what?
Yeah, in a press release. Unprofessional and biased reporting by the media on the Global Forum 2024 bill. He sent a press release.
What is the Global Forum 2024?
But it's a bill that was debated in the House. That's the bill to get us off this gray and blacklist. I did the gray or blacklist. I can't remember which one. I don't want to get both. But one
is that the one with the new company regulations and stuff?
Yeah, for compliance, right? That every year we go into the parliament to pass these amendments that saying we get off the list, that we don't get off the list for some reason. That the list that Jamaica and Barbados off already. You understand? So he was buffing the media.
Why is he saying that the media was
It's a long press release, I'll say it.
No, I mean summarize it.
No, I don't feel to summarize it too much work. It's long.
What then it didn't get enough coverage? That's what I mean by summarize. What were his key points of disaffection?
That the interpretation of the points brought by opposition MP Saddam Hussein and Mrs. Pasal Bissessa may have suffered from a lack of fact checking. I'm paraphrasing here. I just sent it. I'm sending it to you, so you could go through it. That was last night, so I was already winding down for the night. It was a lot.
But it was passed, wasn't it passed?
In the House.
Oh, so that's in the Senate now.
It goes to the Senate this afternoon. I guess that's why he took the opportunity to send the release for what he described as corrections of erroneous coverage, because then he may feel that people may now be quoting newspaper articles over the last couple of days about that debate in the House that he, I guess, wanted to put into his context before facing the Senate this afternoon, where he will pilot the same bill.
Okay.
Because I could identify one issue that he clarified in the thing was there's a definition of competent authority, which is the entity through which the tax information can be shared by requesting external country from Trinidad and Tobago for tax matters. And one of the clauses in the bill puts the Minister of Finance as the competent authority, as opposed to the Board of Inland Revenue. And there were questions raised about whether or not a Minister of Finance, who is a political entity by nature, should have access to should be the conduit through which, or deemed the competent authority through which tax information went from Trinidad and Tobago to a requesting country, because of the nature of some of that information. And Minister Imber, in the little piece that I took time to read, said it is standard procedure in many other countries, and he listed some of the countries. So that's part of it. Open the phone, I'm tired now.
All right, our lines are open again. 62 power. So 627-6937. Option number 5.
I'm glad you're not saying we're fixing that phone tomorrow again. That's very productive, Steve.
Okay.
Don't say we're fixing that phone tomorrow again.
I was not about,
Please don't say we're fixing that phone tomorrow again.
I was not about to say the 222, but I say wait. Okay.
Please don't say we're fixing that phone tomorrow. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Right now we're giving the Ministry of Finance competition.
Yeah. I know.
Yes, Daniel.
Flow is down in the
whoever he delegates.
We have no Flow television, phone, no nothing. We have some calls. Let's grab them. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think it will be wise for people to go and in the office to collect the property tax document that they did not get instead of waiting, because you could go. The post is very slow. I have already paid my electricity bill and haven't even received the bill in the box. They shouldn't really sit down and wait for the mail to come. That might just get them in trouble. You can pick it up at an office. I know someone who went to Palms Club yesterday and got their own that they didn't get. Concerning this thing, the other stuff where people are on hard times, the government needs to do something with the books. Parents paying a lot of money for books. And when the term is finished, only 2 pages in the book is used. It's just not making sense. Why the
Is this
book?
Miss Sampson, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm glad you reminded me of that. Last budget, the Minister of Finance made a grand announcement that they were going to reconcile this school book. I'm trying to be kind here. Mafia.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they did.
And I have seen no progress or announcement of that yet, a year after. So thanks for telling me. I'll put it in my notes.
They're paying as much as $4,000 for books.
I'll put it in my notes.
Ridiculous. The book should be like long time. If you have 6 children, the first book could go down to the second and the third and fourth, instead of everybody have to have a different set of books in their bag. And why they cannot make a timetable, maths today, English tomorrow, why they have to tote this 50-100-pound bags on their back? Half of them the spine was done shift
Because
out.
people making money.
Yeah, but the government could do something about whosoever making the books, let us keep it or do something. The government could print their own books, get a printer to print one certain set of books instead of Tom, Dick, and Harry. Everybody have book, and I have a friend have a set of books to burn. No, nobody want the books. It doesn't make sense. The place in a hot mess. It needs a God. You all have a good day.
All right. Thank
How
you.
do other countries function without book lists?
I don't know.
Because other countries function without book lists. All you require to deal with is stationery. So, and they don't have any book lists. There's no book list every September or every that comes out during the August holidays or whenever to stress out parents and about how much money we have to spend on, especially if you have multiple children and in different forms or different standards, you have to buy in different books. How come other countries have accomplished that you don't have to go through a book list? All you're bringing is stationery. And some countries even providing you with your Chromebook or whatever. So all you're doing is really coming to school.
Ragoobarsingh, there's so much I want to say, but I won't, because somebody making money and somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody to keep the mafia going.
Let's grab this call.
It is sick.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, good morning. I know some people on my street, they got the letter to come and pay their taxes, and some haven't yet. I asked the post, city post about it. They say, but if you're not home, you have to sign, you're supposed to sign paper. If the person not home, there was a sub-collection letter in your box for you to come to city post to come and collect your tax, the to pay your taxes now. But there's a document you have to sign for. Hello?
It's registered. It's registered mail.
Yeah. Right? And one more thing, if you all, I mentioned it yesterday, if you all could get the finance minister in line again to clarify this NIS, when they're going to start to implement the I think you have to pay long, not to pay long, sorry. The 65-year-old from 65, then you will be collecting NIS or something like that. I know they mentioned that. There's some
You mean the raising of the age from 60 to 65?
Yeah. I don't think we still in a war about that. Okay, then.
Minister Cox made a statement the other day, which people were very upset about, that not everybody eligible for. Is either pension or NIS, and people were wanting some clarity on what the statement.
No, that's the senior citizens grant.
Yeah,
senior citizens
I think
grant.
that's what people want some clarity, because people went into a panic. Richard, you have papers?
Yes, I do.
Could you share them with us, please?
All right, so I'll start with the Trinidad and Tobago news day for today. And of course, in case you didn't know, today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Privy Council clears way for Revenue Authority. IMBA, we won. That's the headline. PSA workers still confused about TTRA. And Fly High Pappy, relatives and friends of Roy Happy Francis Cape released pigeons after his funeral at the National Academy for the Performing Arts in Port of Spain on September 16th, which was yesterday. So there's a photograph of that. Lovely photograph, actually. And on the back page of the Newsday, AC Port of Spain eyed 3 points in CONCACAF Club champs. Grenades hunt upset. Betsy's hope stay unbeaten in Tobago T10. And the main picture is that of Spain's Nakia Aparicio and Japan's Shinomi Koyama as they compete for the ball during the under 20 Women's World Cup quarterfinal match at Atanasio Girardot Stadium in Medellin, Colombia on Sunday night. Of course, Japan won 1-0, in case you didn't know.
The
Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Bye Bye Pappy is the headline that the Guardian went with. 1942 to 2024 scores say final farewell to musical legend Roy Cape. And there is a picture of soca artist Destra Garcia. She performs Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You at the funeral service of musician Roy Cape at Napa in Port of Spain yesterday. Privy Council gives TTRA green light. That's a sub-headline. And on the back page, Marshall wants ORTT for Roy Cape. So it's a collage of pictures of the funeral of Roy Cape at Napa yesterday. And, well, they didn't do any sports. So I have to go in a little bit. AC Port of Spain FC faces must-win clash with Grenades. And Pierre delivers Spin Master Class and Kings win over struggling Falcons. On to the Daily Express, front page. We won the case is the headline. Finance Minister joyful after Privy Council gives green light for Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. PSA President, the fight goes on as PM returns, Kamala writes. I don't know what she wrote, but that's all that it says here. And the picture is of celebrating Roy Cape's life, paying respects. Music aficionado Don Glenn Phillip Wright pays tribute to Roy Cape as pallbearers carry his coffin out of the National Academy for the Performing Arts yesterday. On the back page of the Daily Express, rejoice for Roy, acting PM urges citizens to celebrate Cape's life. And there is a picture of Stuart Young.
I think it's very commendable that he took time to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
He was
Acting Prime Minister Stuart Young and Tourism Minister Randall Mitchell give their condolences to Cheryl Cape, wife of Roy K. And case for defense. AC Port of Spain coach Noriega seeks better game management against Grenades. 5th straight title for Sagram Singh. Kuan Coventry in race to be next IOC boss, and CPL to support hurricane affected students. That's some of the sports news in the Daily Express this morning. So that's it for 3 dailies this morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Richie Rich. It is 9 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock. Major news at the top of the hour with Avi. And let's get the results of our morning poll, where we asked you yesterday, should opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessa apologize for her fake vaccines comment? That was our poll yesterday. Would you believe it's tied 50-50? It is tied. Yesterday, majority said yes. I think it was 47 people that called in and message said yes, and 3 said no. Online, it's tied at 50-50. All right. Right. So our morning poll is up already. And here it is, Richie Rich.
Should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for payment of property tax? That's our poll this morning. Should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for the payment of property tax?
Yes or no? 6-2 power, option 5. And just remember is P O, not 0, POWER. 627-6937, option 5. Of course, toll-free number 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021. Just like Chris J just said, yes.
Apple Junkies, iOS 18 is out.
Yeah, that was out yesterday. But my phone is too old to carry that update. CJ New York says yes. Cheryl Henry, 100 yes. Beefy Smith, where we should be staying. We should do a show by Beefy Smith in Goodwood, Tobago, you know. It only takes us 1 minute to hook up. He says yes. Just letting you know, Beefy Smith is training out. Anthony in Toronto. Morning, Anthony. Yes. Captain Ron in Boston. Yes. Ben J. Singh out in Ontario, Canada, in Toronto. He says yes. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona says yes. Lincoln says yes. Carol Guevara says yes. Miss Sampson says no. All right. Should the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Colin Imbit, grant an extension for payment of property tax? Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandi, no.
All right. Thank you. Hillbed says yes. Jared Pollinaire says yes. Michael Mapp says yes. All right. CPT Singh says from Carney East says no. Good morning, Hillbenj. Good morning to you. Jess Archer Kennedy says yes. Wayne Bennett says yes. Right. 6-2 power. 627-6937. Option 5. Directly to studio. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099.
So should the Minister of Finance
181021.
Should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for the payment of property tax? That's our poll this morning.
Julia S. Batiste says yes. David Wares says hell yes. That's what he said. Just read it like he typed it. All right. Should it be extended? Should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for payment of property tax? Yes or no? I'm sure there are long lines outside the Tunapuna office. Anthony Tinto out in Ontario, Canada, says yes. Richard P. Knights, no.
So 627-6937, option 5. 627-6937, option 5. 866-525-1099. In terms of course, North Americans, you can vote on this too. And those of you in North America and other parts of the planet, of course, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021 with the 868 code before. And of course, on all the other streaming platforms, you can send your vote by the messaging portals there.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sun City, Florida. No.
Was that Palm City, Florida?
He said no.
Sun City, Florida.
Sun City, Florida. All right. Thank you, buddy. All the best. Let's see. Sherma Paul says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Oh, I know Slick Money Grip. I don't know if you heard me yesterday. But if you don't know, for Gary Camejo will be held at the St. Charles Church on Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And then it will head to Allen's in Arima for cremation at noon. All right. I know you had asked about that. Yeah, Ray Long Lines. Himin says yes. Amin says yes. Let's see. Cascade St. Anne says no. Nigel Williams, you have to vote. Yes or no? All right. Let's see. Should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for payment of property tax?
Yes or no? That's our poll this morning. What?
Long lines.
Yeah, what says you?
Beauty Culture says yes.
And lines are
Beauty Culture.
Yeah, lines are only going to get longer as it drifts towards September. Especially when people get paid in September.
That is it. That is what's going to happen.
Some people would have prioritized the opening of school at the end of August.
Yeah, and just to readjust and so on. So I'm sure after Republic Day, it's going to be a mad rush. All right. Let's see. Any more votes? We have Catherine Henry saying no. Then we have okay. We have Anil Arju Singh saying yes.
What about WhatsApp? Any WhatsApp votes?
One just came in. It's Nigel Williams saying yes.
So our poll, should the Minister of Finance grant an extension for payment of property tax? That's our poll this morning. What says you? 222-TALK, 222-8255. Oh, no, it's not that number. Sorry. 627-6937. So 627-6937, option 5. So 627-6937, option 5. 866-525-1099 for those of you in North America. WhatsApp for all of you watching us on M&E TV and elsewhere. You can WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021. 318-1021. You can put the 868.
Anne Marie says yes, please. Emmanuel in Fort Lauderdale says yes. Yeah, that's what I got so far. All right, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Online options will soon be available to citizens to pay property tax. Privy Council rules against PSA on TTRA matter. The opposition leader stands by her fake vaccine comments. Central Bank willing to meet with the Auditor General. And St. Vincent Prime Minister believes Maduro, as Venezuela's president, is in Guyana's best interest. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sinjal Bab. Good morning. Online options are coming to alleviate the long lines of persons seeking to pay property tax. This is according to Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, who was a guest on the Power Breakfast show on Monday morning. Manning said the government is well aware of the long lines that have been reported of persons seeking to pay property tax, and they are looking into ways to help. The deadline to pay property tax is September 30th. As the deadline looms, there have been reports of very long lines of persons trying to pay before month end.
We are continuing to develop other methods of payment. One of them will include an online option where persons can pay maybe through their banking branches or online from their computers or phones. And that is being rolled out. So we are well aware of the lines that have been seen at many of the revenue offices across the country, and it's something that we are working to take care of going forward. So we are aware of the situation, and we are working to offer a solution.
When asked why the option of online payment was not offered to members of the public before so that lengthy lines could have been avoided, Minister Manning said offering online payment was not as simple as persons may believe.
It's not a simple situation as that. It is something that is being developed at this point in time. You have to remember there are many other situations happening at the same time. You're also moving towards the TTRA, other things. So it was very complex to have done that previously, but we are working to get it done going forward. So that's the most I can say at this point in time. It will happen, and it's going to be implemented.
For those who may not meet the deadline, the minister said he's not in a position to say whether or not there would be an extension of the deadlines. He disclosed that this would be up to the Prime Minister, or rather for the Finance Minister to say. The London-based Privy Council has dismissed the matter brought by the Public Services Association challenging the implementation of Trinidad and Tobago's Revenue Authority. Reports say it found no constitutional prohibition against the arrangements made by the TTRA Act. The TTRA is meant to replace the Customs and Excise Division and the Inland Revenue Division. However, the Public Services Association, through its member, Customs Officer Teresa Dure, challenged the constitutionality of the legislation and the operationalization of the Revenue Authority. Her claim was based mainly on Section 18 of the legislation, which was proclaimed by President Christine Kangaloo last year, April. This section requires employees at the IRD and CED to decide whether they will be voluntarily resigning from the public service, accepting a transfer to another public service department, or agreeing to transfer to the TTRA. In May, the Court of Appeal dismissed the PSA and Dore's appeal against the decision delivered by High Court Judge Westman James, who found that the implementation of the TTRA was not unlawful. Finance Minister Colm Imbert posted on X after the judgment. He said the Privy Council just published its decision in the constitutional challenge to the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. We won the case. This required tremendous effort against the relentless opposition from the UNC and the PSA. Now we can modernize revenue collection in TNT. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Basasa is standing by her fake vaccine comments, saying that people are experiencing poor health and side effects from the jabs. Speaking at the United National Congress meeting at the party's Shogunas headquarters, the former Prime Minister criticized Health Minister Terence Singh and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram for their management of the pandemic. She said that close to 5,000 people died from the virus and their deaths could have been prevented. She claimed people who were forced by their employers to take the COVID-19 vaccine and who are experiencing poor health and side effects may now have grounds for legal action. Last week, Dayal Singh issued a release condemning Persad-Basasa for saying that fake vaccines were administered to hundreds of thousands of people in Trinidad and Tobago. He demanded that she retract her statements. However, Persad-Basasa on Monday night did not retract her statement, but instead doubled down, saying that she brought evidence to support her claim, as she reported that there have been international reports about the efficacy of the vaccines. After months of deadlock, there may be a way to resolution in the impasse between Auditor General Jayawanti Ramdas and the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, as both parties have agreed to meet to discuss a request to examine the bank's electronic check clearing system. This development may please Minister of Finance Colm Imbert, who in Parliament on September 9th said that he had hoped that such a meeting would put much of the tensions to rest. But while Imbert said Ramdas had yet to set a date in response to the CBTT's request to meet, a report in the Guardian media this morning stated that she's yet to receive any such invitation. In a recent affidavit, Ramdas claimed that her ability to perform a proper audit and verify the issues that caused a $2.6 billion underestimation of revenue in the national accounts was hampered as she was illegal or allegedly blocked by the CBTT from accessing its electronic check clearing system. The CBTT told Guardian Media that the governor would be happy to meet with the Auditor General at a mutually convenient time to work out the parameters of any special investigation that the Auditor General would like to conduct. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, believes having Nicolas Maduro as the president of Venezuela is in the best interest of the government of Guyana's oil sector. Gonzalez, who was in Guyana on Saturday to attend the funeral for the late Guyanese and international statesman Sir Sridath Rampal, told Demerara Waves Online News he believes Venezuelans, by rejecting the right-wing opposition, implemented a move that redounded to the security of Guyana's rapidly developing oil industry.
If you have a choice between Maduro and the right wing in Venezuela, I advise you choose Maduro. The right wing will seek to allow the Americans to take the oil in Venezuela, to set up, to take over PDVSA and try to run Guyana oil industry from Caracas.
While Dr. Gonzalez calls Mr. Maduro his friend, he says he'll oppose any military action against Guyana.
We were involved in the Argyle Declaration for peace.
Straight into weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly hot and sunny despite the isolated shower. There's a low to medium chance of the isolated afternoon heavier shower or thunderstorm developing near hilly and western areas of Trinidad and Tobago. Nighttime will be fair but warm. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding are possible in the vicinity of heavy downpours and or thunderstorms. Expect a temperature high of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco and Crown Point is 27 degrees Celsius. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock. Online options will soon be available to citizens to pay property tax. Privy Council rules against PSA on TTRA matter. The opposition leader stands by fake vaccine comments. Central Bank willing to meet with the Auditor General. And St. Vincent Prime Minister believes Maduro as Venezuela's president is in Guyana's best interest. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Miss Universe, Evie Sintil-Bab, for our 7 o'clock major news. And of course, you can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief and further on at noon for major news. So Charles will be alongside her. Taking a look what's happening. Oops, easy. Right. Traffic-wise, wow. Let me not give you a traffic update. It is heavy. Got one accident in Princestown. That much I could tell you. But on the highways, the byways, the Eastern Main Road, the Valencia stretch, yep, you've got some traffic there this morning, all right? Eastern Main Road is quite heavy. All right, that's your quick traffic update for you. Let me see if I have any more votes. Ooh, anytime, Slick Money Grip. Let's see. Right, David Nelson says yes. Val, I was wondering when he was going to come on, Val. Val said yes. And that's all I got there, Richie Rich. Okay. Lester Crigwell says yes. Don't know where Richie Rich went to.
I'm taking note. Yeah, for that. She's still talking.
Got 3 extra yeses for you.
All right. So we had 36 people voting on the poll this morning in the allotted time. Of the 36 people, 29 of you said yes. You do think that the Minister of Finance should grant an extension for the payment of property tax. So 29 of you said yes, and 7 of you said no. So the yeas have it by a huge margin that yes, they do think that there should be an extension to the payment of property tax. You know, in light of the obvious problems, I think a lot of people are logical about it. That if you have 14 payment centers and you have 178,000 payments to be made, you know, it's a recipe for a traffic jam at all of those centers. And more so specifically in the East-West corridor, which is the most populated part of the country. And you have basically just Sangre Grande. You have Sangre Grande, you have, then there's a big gap until you reach Tunapuna, and then another gap until you reach Barataria, and then Port of Spain. And that's the most populated area in the country. So it's a recipe for long lines at a lot of those offices. So, you know, hopefully common sense will prevail.
Well, common sense should prevail before, though.
Yeah.
You find so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I suppose sometimes common sense is not quick.
I thought, given the volume and the practicality of it, that you would know that, well, you need online options, particularly from a government that has on record stated that they want to transform the economy by digitization. Not so?
Yep.
Okay. And this was a great example to show that we are doing that. But remember, they're doing other things.
Yeah, it's an embarrassing gap.
Of course, it's embarrassing.
It's an embarrassing gap on the government's part not having that payment option.
And given the length of time this has taken to get going.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
You would think it would have been up and ready.
They must be embarrassed by it, I want to believe. Unless they're so insensitive to public commentary on the issue. But it is embarrassing.
And because you want to, as you said earlier on, facilitate as many payments as you can before September 30th to show, well, look, our endeavors to get property tax back on the books and to get revenue summit is critical to our policy, and that you'd put as many options as possible on the table. You understand? So you can say we had a successful re-implementation of property tax in Trinidad and Tobago, but we're doing other things.
Yeah.
Too busy.
They didn't say they're too busy. They said they do other things.
Well, according to you, he said it's a complex thing to put in those payments.
Yeah, complex, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why you have a whole ministry of digitalization, though, digital transformation, because it's a complex thing.
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
and can't you, isn't it that you can, and the other government obligation that you can pay online now?
Mm-hmm.
But you've done it before, though.
Yep.
Again, something you always talk about, Richard. People-centered, process efficient, people-centered. Think of how easy. Walk through this process. I have 173,000 people who have gotten valuations. I have 14 centers. Is this going to work out? You know what? Let's either have more centers or online or some other method that can work to make this an easier process for those wishing to, because we want to make this successful.
Yeah.
No, you go to 14 centers and pay.
Yeah. You want people to pay, and you want to make it as easy as possible.
Go line up
for people to pay.
Go on line up. Go on line up. I'm telling you, go on line up in the rain.
Yeah.
You
know, and then people take time off from work.
And also Richard and Steve and everyone else. elderly people.
Yeah.
You want an elderly person in a line for 4 hours, 3 hours? That's what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Lotto booths, other government agencies. The phone line.
No, but I if they had done it, if they had done the lotto booths, it would have been so much easier because they're all over.
Or just more government agencies for payment centers.
Yeah. Could open my kiosk. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I sat down here idle and did the maths. 170, I did it for 170,000. 170 divided by 14. Divided by, I'd give it 15 days for the rest of the month. That means each center have to see 800 and something people per day to cover if everybody pay their taxes. Do we see any government buildings seeing 800 people per day?
No.
Yes, sir?
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's anybody that sees 800 people.
So it means if everybody goes to pay the taxes, it doesn't have any capacity to do everybody. They can't function to see that amount of people.
In the time frame identified.
Yeah.
In the time frame identified. It is physically impossible. Good morning. That's why I said initially they have to extend the date. You get offended when I say that they give
and this is a government, like other governments, have chastised the public service for the inefficiency.
Correct. I just wanted to point that out. Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you for the math this morning, Lincoln.
How are they not embarrassed about this?
I don't know.
Nice. You asking something, Paul, we cannot answer. I cannot answer.
You have a Ministry of Finance, a Ministry of Public Administration, and a Ministry of Digital Transformation. Can't come together. So let me meet now. This thing coming. Let me see if you can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Then do the maths and join 70,000 by 14 centers. No, we need more centers. We need 20 more centers. Online options, banks, lotto booths. Let's make it as efficient as possible. With digital transfers, you have more accountability. You have more transparency. You have more about digital footprint to know who pay, who and pay. You can reconcile the issues that you may come up. In 2024.
Yeah. All right. 62 power 627 6937. Option 5. Of course, on our toll-free number remains the same for North Americans, 866-525-1099. And WhatsApp 318-1021. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Morning. How are you all going?
We are
Morning,
good.
Mr. Patrick. Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Ragoobarsingh, morning. Yesterday I was having a conversation with some people about the budget. I was saying, I know we business. I said, so why they know the business? They say, it really benefit we. Who the budget does really benefit? By the way, businesses, but who the budget does really benefit? The poor man on the street, because Mr. Richard, I hear talking this morning about people can't send the children to school and things. I know that going on a long time. A guy working by me, have 5 children. He has only sent 2 to school Monday, 2 to school Wednesday, school Friday.
Absolutely.
That's what Paul said this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
You
know.
don't send everybody to school every day.
They don't have that kind of passage, right? A long time, they have the buses in the remote areas. They don't bus again.
Those start me on PTSD, yeah? Those start me on PTSD.
That's a whole year's show right there for PTSD.
Yes, minimum wage. They raise the minimum wage. They raise everything in the supermarket. That organization to form recently with the food prices thing. I ain't nothing about that. Mr. Kazim Hussein and them. I ain't nothing about them things. So in the end of the day, this rent thing. I know people right now that will choose if to pay rent or buy food. So just budget to it has really benefit the small man. I know they're removing subsidy again from gas and diesel. They're moving subsidy or it's already moved already.
No, it's not removed.
It's not all.
I have heard no such announcement, Mr. Patrick.
You know, I don't know.
It's not completely removed, no.
Right. I would go with Richard's comment.
Well, look at problem now. Because they remove all the subsidy. Hey, taxi price going up, this
Mr.
going up.
Patrick, that is speculation.
Yeah, right. But I don't want to speculate. But right now, as it is,
But you're speculating.
a lot of people unemployed. A lot of people.
That is not speculation.
And they have degree and masters out there, and they're working with degree.
Mm-hmm.
So what the budget really does benefit? They talk about $90-something billion, and this ministry getting that, the police getting money and they can't hold nobody. What's going on, boy? So in the end of the day, what's rate looking to go up, liability going up, property tax come now.
The Minister of Public Utilities has said there's no plan to increase electricity rates at this time.
But I hear people talking about like the liability got up already. So I don't know if they use
The liability may have
current.
gone up based on the electricity use.
Yeah, using more current because it's laptop and computer and things over online.
Using more current, your light bill will go up.
Right. And Mr. Khan, I hear you was talking this morning, put the budget statement online. Not everybody does go online, you know.
Yeah, but to listen to 3
People
hours,
like to sit
you
down
should
and
just go
listen
online.
No, there are people that have patience. There are people have that kind of patience. They sit down and listen, and they will read it on the papers too.
You mean people like Richard and so on at that age group?
They do put it online, you know, but they put it online after.
After the fact.
Yeah, boy. But in the end of the day, who the budget really benefit? That's what we had a debate that who it does really benefit. Because a lot of people are wrapping up shop and going because the COVID, as I say, they never recover. And online shopping now, looking to get some pressure from the American government with Shaheen and Timu and them. The Chinese market is infiltrating this market and they're going to put some serious tax on them. So, who is really benefit? The poor man will always have to suffer, boy.
Yep. I always say that.
Welcome to human civilization.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick. Lots of calls coming through. Let's go. Good morning.
One thing I forgot to mention, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I don't know if you could remember the name of it. Remember for the pandemic, there was supposed to be a digital something to be implemented. Digital card, yes.
Health vaccination card.
Digital vaccination card. That was.
I think the Minister has already admitted defeat on that.
And you see here the problem with me. I formulate my opinions based on what the history, based on the track record. So when I say a government promised to do something and they didn't deliver, promises that never materialize and they don't deliver. When you tell me now about you're working on a new payment plan, a digital payment plan, and I have little hope of expectation from you when you tell me these things because I know your track record. I've seen your pattern of we planning or we working on it. I've seen that history already in Trinidad and Tobago. So if you want to call me Doubting Thomas and you want to call me, because a couple of people have called me there, but I'm formulating my opinion on history and the pattern that I have seen.
Lincoln is not popularity contest. You know, people think what they want. Some people do like to hear a different point of view, and that's it. So what?
I have little hope for the promise that the minister talked about. They're working on a new payment platform, and if the deadline is September, when you're working on this, when you're planning,
I have a different view.
Payment platform.
I think they are working on it, but they should have worked on it before it became a problem. That's my issue.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're working on it, you know, this should have happened months ago.
I would dare say you put the cart, as the old people say, you put the cart before the horse. Right? if we're working on it at all. Because I don't see that materializing before September 30th, that you making any kind of sense at all.
Well, he never said it was going to be before September 30th. We asked him that.
Okay.
But
So
Faris
then-
Al-Rawi, the Minister of Local Government, said the online option will be in the next fiscal year.
Who?
Faris Al-Rawi, the Minister of Local Government, said
Okay, then.
the online
All right,
option
thanks, Mr.
will
Bartlett.
be in the
Thanks,
next
Mr. Bartlett.
Don't just tell me foolishness and expect me to just swallow it and yay and clap because I spin them. I would tell you, you're telling me trippiness. Because I would think for myself and analyze what you tell them and recognize and acknowledge you're not making sense. Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
But I should say, as quoted in one of the dailies, let me add that to what I just said. Add that to what I just said about Minister Al-Rawi. That, as quoted in one of the dailies last week, he said in the next fiscal, and I was like, oh, so this happening after September 30th then. But as indicated that on the show. That was an article in the newspapers.
Oh, yeah, patience, yes.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's been a while since I've called you all.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, this Rob, regional Rob. I used to travel and call you guys for the COVID stuff. It's been a while. So
Oh, yeah, from Barbados.
From Barbados, yeah.
Yeah, where you at now?
How you going? How's everybody?
Well, I'm back in Antigua now, doing some business across there. Trying to get some work in Trinidad, but Trinidad is a tough place to get work this time around, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been talking about that this morning.
I call concerning this property tax thing because I came twice to Trinidad to pay property tax, right? And the both times I came, I spent less than 45 minutes paying this property tax. That people saying they have long lines.
How long ago was that?
One was yesterday. I went yesterday with my grandmother.
Where?
What region?
In Port of Spain, in Ajax Street, Port of Spain.
Well, good for you. People go Ajax Street, you'll get through fast.
We take the long line, you know. Here's the problem. People watching the line outside the building and saying, oh my gosh, look at this long line. But once they get, and it took us literally 45 minutes to get everything done. And she had a query on hers. What's going on is that a lot of people wait till the last minute now to query, and some people didn't get their letters for 3%. But I really didn't want to go down that road with it because I like to, I hear the math part of it, right? And I just want to verify something. Not the 2%, the math part of processing it, because I told you guys my background is in operations, right? So I was trying to figure out why they can't process the people now. So you guys, I was just listening to the numbers that you were saying. It's 179,000 people.
73.
That you're saying, as you were saying, right?
173,000.
173,000. I put 179. And it's 40 payment locations, right?
14.
14.
Yeah, 1-4.
1-4. All right. So we doing, anybody have a calculator there that we could do
What
this math?
trouble is this?
I like to educate the people.
Shoot, go ahead. Let me hear.
Right. 179,000 divided by 14 payment locations. What we have?
12,785.
12,785. Right? Divide that now by 20 because you have 20 working days in a month.
639.
639 per location per day. Now divide that now by 6 months because we get it since March.
106.
Well, you can't say that because you don't know how close to now people would have gotten their valuations. Receiving valuations is an ongoing thing. Not everyone received their valuation 6 months ago.
I understand that, Paul. And that's why I'm saying a lot of people in the lines because of the queries, they still have 3% valuation and not 2% valuation. And I understand that. So there's 106 people a day, right? Now you're checking it down by the hours. Now divide 106, right, by 8 hours a day.
You take out lunch hour?
Take out the lunch hour. Okay, take out the lunch. Let me divide by 8.
Right, by 8. By 8 is 13. 13.
Like 13 people an hour in each one of these locations if they had started 6 months ago. You understand what I'm saying?
But that's a big presumption, though, if they started 6 months ago.
It's not, you got to remember, Paul, you're in the Senate, right? people don't just think of something and do it. They have to have academics, and I'm not saying the PNM have it, and I'm not saying the USA. It could be that people just think of something and decide they want to do it. But it must have, especially government service. They have to have 30, 40 people to watch one piece of paper to approve it. You don't think somebody watch this and do that same simple math that we just do and say, you know what, this could work? There is no reason to extend the property tax. And I'm not saying it because I for PNM or for anybody. I just saying it math. If you just look at the basic math, you see what happened is everybody wait for September to come because we are accustomed that when you see the coming at the end of the month, the government will get an extension. So look how long.
No, but you see, you have to put in perspective the various aspects of someone's life. They have to get books for children. They have to do this. They have to do that. And just as Paul said this morning, I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for the paycheck at the end of this month to start paying.
Okay. So we're taking that point, right? Because again, we had to go through the process. Because I had to talk to a lot of people yesterday in the line because people still think is the value of the property that they're paying it on, you know. They're not understanding is the rental value that they have to divide whatever they see on the paper by 12. And if you think you could rent your house for that amount, then it's okay because it's 2% of what you could rent your house for every month. It is not the value. Your property is not $10 million and they're giving it 2% at $10 million. That is what people still thinking in their head. I stand up talking to people in the line and I had to explain that when I do the math in front of them, they say, oh, but this makes sense and this is reasonable. So that's what I'm saying. Even if, taking your point, instead of we dividing by 6, right? So we go back up to where you had 12,758. Instead of you divide by 6 months, right? 12,785 people that you have there. Divide that by 6 hours a day. So everybody in Trinidad decide that they come in September. You understand? You still have 800 people a day by 14 centers. And is it 800? If you do that math, where goes the number? Because I'm not using my calculator.
A lot of people waited until they got their inland revenue payment, not their actual valuation. People waited for their inland revenue payment that actually said how much you had to pay. That bill was only passed in March or April. Paul can that 2% reduction was passed on them in March, April. Those notices went out after that. So your 6-month estimation is wrong. People would have never gotten it within 6 months.
It cannot be wrong. Hold on, because you could take your letter, which is what I said. I went with my grandmother yesterday. She still had a 3% valuation up to yesterday.
Yeah, but you're not listening. People are waiting. People are waiting on their inland revenue bill.
The letter from and I agree with you.
It tells you how much you have to pay. That's what most people are waiting on.
And I agree with you. What I am saying is that in a normal society, forget this is Trinidad and Tobago. In a normal society, right? If you owe taxes, you don't wait. Like in the US and in some of the other Caribbean islands, even Barbados, right next to the road, right down the road from us. You don't wait for the government to tell you how much tax you have to pay.
This is different. This is a reintroduction of a tax. This is not an ongoing tax where you are paying it every year. It is now being reintroduced.
That has been totally recalculated.
So you have your letter saying 3%, right? You get it in March. I'm working with what you're saying to me. Right?
It was amended in March. The bill was presented to Parliament in March to reduce it to 2%.
Okay, agreed. So you got a letter before that, before the amendment. Correct? I'm with you. You get a letter before that, correct? With a valuation, but the valuation wrong because the amendment was not 2%, it's 3%. But you get a letter to say you owe this amount at 3%. Agreed?
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the inland revenue statement can be correct at the 2%, but I'm saying a lot of people would not have gotten that 6 months before. People would have gotten that in June.
I get the 3 months one. Did July, I get it 3 months one?
Yeah, people would have gotten that all then. So that's my point.
Correct.
Your 6 months calculation your 6-month calculation in terms of what you
It's
did,
wrong.
I'm saying, is fundamentally wrong.
No, it's not. Because here's why I'm saying that.
Because many people wouldn't have gotten anything by that 6 months.
No. People got. They just say the same thing you saying. Well, this wrong because it's saying 3%. So I go wait in the mail till I get the 2% one and then I will go and pay. Right? But all you needed to do, and I'm telling you because I physically did it yesterday. If you have the one for 3%, go down to Inland Revenue with the letter for 3%. Say, listen, my letter says 3%. It's supposed to be 2%. And they will print a new one for you with the new calculation, give it to you in your hand, and you go and pay it immediately. That takes less than half an hour. But the same mindset that you have, well, I go sit down and wait till they send me the mail. And
that's what the
then
Minister of Finance said, sir. The Minister of Finance said.
No.
The Minister of Finance said that Inland Revenue is going to send out your payment notices. That's why it's sent to you via registered mail. Once you receive those notices, then you pay. That's what the Minister of Finance said.
But let me ask you another question then. And I'll with you, know. I'll with you.
Back to your issue about comparing us to other islands, I'm saying I don't think Trinidadians and Tobagonians have a problem to pay a tax. I'm saying this is the reintroduction of a tax.
No, sir.
And of course, there are going to be logistical issues.
No, here is the flaw. And again, I want you to work with me just as I'm working with you. I agree with what you're saying. The minister say, wait until the letter come in your mail because the calculation was wrong.
Inland Revenue letter, the Inland Revenue payment.
Revenue letter was wrong. I agree. The percentage was wrong. Now, most of us was able to travel and we have family in the US and we have things here. If you get a bill and your bill wrong, right? You get the bill, you know, but the bill calculation wrong. And you sit down and wait to get a new bill in your house, right? What does 9 times out of 10 does happen? Don't they come and cut you and say, well,
that's not what I'm talking about, you know. I'm talking about people never got that Inland Revenue payment until June, July. Some people, in fact, 200,000 plus people have not received it.
Right. So let me go with that, with what you're saying there. So you have some minus.
So there are people who are saying, hold on. Mud here, you know, and we will have to agree to disagree. We split it up in mud because we'll have to agree to disagree. And I'm saying that if it is you are facilitating a new process, you have to give leeway for the fact that people are going to be working through the system and there's going to be a flood.
Okay. But here's my thing, right? Because I know the culture the people are dealing with. If you're going to extend it, don't advertise you're extending it. Because you know what's going to happen? Everybody's going to do the same damn thing again.
So give the citizens less information.
Give them less information on the extension.
That's not how you govern. That's not how you govern.
No.
All right, we can continue like this forever. We have a lot of calls coming through still.
Penalties in place if you don't meet whatever deadline the state gives. So the issue is really how much do you facilitate your citizens with a new process for which you don't have an online payment option. You have 14 centers and you have 173,000 out and
you
ongoing.
Have 6 months to pay it.
So
because not everybody
what do you want something that's citizen friendly or do you want something that's not citizen friendly? If you are not citizen friendly, that's your option. I am always for how do you make things easier for citizens.
Citizen friendly,
and the conversation we had this morning is that the state dropped the ball, that they should have included and factored in all of these issues with regard to online payment, and all of that should have been done way in advance because they knew it was coming.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. They drop the ball in certain things, but it is not a situation where we blasting it out of proportion to say, oh, well, we have to extend. It's a situation
that's
where...
Your opinion. That's your opinion.
Everybody
the majority of our voters this morning disagree with you.
No.
The majority of our voters this morning
Not
disagree. They felt
everybody.
that there should be an extension.
Yeah. Okay, fine. We agree to disagree on this point because I guess you'd always taking it as the worst case scenario to paint a picture, and I just trying to be neutral in this thing. So let's have a good day.
Thanks, pal. All the best.
But yeah, we have to agree to disagree.
All right. We have another call. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
That gentleman, if you listen to that gentleman, that man writing a lot of things that he's saying. Now, we know that they were supposed to put X and Y and Z. But the calculation of that is as simple from 3% to 2%. You can calculate. Watch me. I make a calculation. I go and pay long time. And there are no line and all that. People wait till the last minute. Everybody waiting till they get the mountain pay. Everybody waiting till they get the inland revenue check. Everybody. No, watch me. Listen, watch out, Trinidadians is. We always wait last minute. We are saying that they could not have things to put in place, but that is the issue. Why is it like that? When I went to pay, it had no line. No line. And you could have always pay a month. If you want to pay a month, you pay 2 months. You could have do that. You didn't have to pay if you didn't have all the money. So I listen to what the gentleman saying is, but if you want to look at it and say, well, they're supposed to put this and they're supposed to put that and they're supposed to put that. Yes, they could have put things in place, but people wait till the last minute. When trying for school books, people have money for the children books and wait till last day for school. Look, last week to make the uniform and all them kind of things. That is the problem there. You know? Why those lines are being so long is because people wait last minute.
Yeah, and some people are waiting last minute, and that's fine. You can wait last minute, but the state should offer the option of not having only 14 centers where you can pay for 173,000 properties.
Well, watch me. We are saying no, but what we're saying is
that is the basic issue. And you also have a lot of people. You have a lot of people who have not received. Some have not received anything at all concerning their properties.
Well, watch me. If people receive, now some, not all. So the people always see who receive, so some, not all. But what we're saying is that
the minister yesterday said 173,000.
Organized properly. I find watch me. You know what that come like? That come like I'm going down the road and the traffic light change to red for next side to stop and I am green and I decide to go through. Because my side is green. And you see the man coming and he on red.
Yeah.
We could have go. Watch me. I went and pay. Watch me. I sit down. There's a simple, basic calculation from 3% to 2%. And you work it out and you go and you pay. I gonna pay another line. So the issue is here is that they should have put extra, but we're making it such a big issue and this thing and da. And if we do things so not normally of ourselves, we don't do even things like in our own home. We don't do things like that. People could have gone and pay that. That's a big set of maths and calculation. You're waiting on the document. When I get the first one and I see the 3% and see what it is, I to work on the calculation and see whether I did no big thing to pay. The property I go and I pay. And me wait on no line and the last minute the 30th. That is the issue, the deadline and the interest. So one set of people decide we go and catch them now. All the time they could have done that.
All right.
So what the gentleman saying, he correct, you know. He correct, but they could have put things in paper, but I mean, we can't have everything we want A to the letter. If we're going to pay with court installment, we standard installment, we just wait for long after to go and pay. That is how Trinidad is how we is. And that is the issue there. Simple like that.
Well, thank you. I disagree with you. I think plenty Trinidadians.
Everybody always feels that everybody else's circumstances are the same as theirs.
Yeah. And
everybody always feels that everybody's circumstances are the same as theirs so that they can do the same thing. And that's not so.
Yeah. And that's not how it is. And there are many Trinidadians and Tobagonians who are very prompt about paying whatever they have to pay. And very studious about what they have to pay. So saying that Trinidadians are always last minute, they're not always last minute. There's some who will be, and I think that's a feature of any country on the planet. There's some who will always be last minute. But this is a new system that's being reintroduced in a different way. And so some people are going to be, well, wait, I haven't gotten anything yet. Some people haven't gotten anything yet.
Yeah.
They have gotten not even an evaluation.
And everybody feels that everybody's circumstances are the same, and they are not.
Well,
exactly.
What is the
Good morning.
calculation for you and the information
Morning.
you may have and your resources to pay and
You're
the
correct.
region that you are paying are so
Answer
varied,
the
it's not
one
funny.
together,
Good
please.
morning.
Morning. Did you hear what I said, Dr.
No,
Johnson?
sorry. Could you repeat it, please?
You are correct. Everybody thinks that their circumstance is the same as somebody else's own. And my thing is, the government had how much time to put everything in order? And they didn't. But they're complaining about people who wait last minute. That's not no problem. If somebody want to wait last minute, the procedures should be in place for them to pay it easy. I always think of what Mr. Ragoobarsingh always says. In this country, the government makes things harder for citizens than making it easier. I have a question. Whenever you all talk to Mr. Manning again, I was wondering, nobody's speaking about it. The domestic taxes for the residential owners is going to go to the regional corporations.
Supposed to.
And what about the industrial payments? Is that also going to go to the regional corporations?
No, that's not what has been said. The commercial and industrial and agricultural are going to the state.
Commercial,
industrial, and agricultural are supposed to go to the state, as far as I remember.
I think I want to agree with you, Paul. I think I remember that. Yeah.
So only the residential would go to the
regional corporations to upgrade the facilities in those particular regions.
That is not nice at all. I know we don't.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense because a lot of those places with a lot of the industrial development or industrial warehousing and trucks and stuff going back and forth, they will have, of course, much more infrastructure that's under stress than places that don't.
And our industries are concentrated in certain areas in the country.
They are in certain
and the
areas.
commercial part of it are also concentrated in specific areas.
Oh, well, I'm not going to raise my hopes about getting things done in the areas because that money is not going to suffice with all the...
Well, they did say that if there are deficits, because there's some regional corporations like Tunapuna, Piarco, and Kuva, Tabaki, Telparo that are in more densely populated areas that need more work. If there are, and then there's some less densely populated corporations that will need additional state funding, and they have acknowledged that.
Yeah, okay. So I guess is the state going to put that money, that deficit, into their coffers?
Well, the problem here, and this has been raised in the debate, is that regional corporations are notoriously poor at audited financial reports and managing in a transparent way in many ways. So if, and I raise this point, if they have not done it before, why would they automatically start being transparent and efficient now that they're getting more money? It just
that was my thought exactly, because it raises your expectations that like holes in your road and all of that would be fixed and the garbage collection would be better. But as you say, you can't hold out hope for that because they're notorious about bad accounting.
Mm-hmm. And in some instances,
usually, usually when you used to pay what was the old iteration of the property tax? Yeah, the land tax. You used to pay that into your actual regional corporation. You used to actually pay it It didn't used to go to the district revenue office. It used to go to the actual regional corporation, not so?
Yes.
And so now that you're sending the money to the district regional, or let's say somebody from Arima, I just saying, given an example, goes and pays in Port of Spain. Are they separating those funds and putting it in the Arima pile? Or is it just going into one huge fund and they're just going to allocate on how much properties are on their record?
I think
as being from Arima. I don't know.
I think that second one is what they're going to be done, because we are plagued by this consolidated fund.
Oh Lord.
Right? We still pay a tax at the gas pump. That doesn't help with road works and all of that.
Let me add another layer of confusion to the conversation. The services that are now to be provided by these regional corporations with this residential property tax funding has to go through a new procurement regime, which is much more intense than previous. And if they couldn't get things done before in a transparent and accountable manner, you think it's just going to automatically happen just so? And there are some corporations that are on record as saying they're resisting this property tax. You think they're going to cooperate?
Yeah, that's true. So
people know, okay, let's wait. Grab popcorn and coke.
We still have to drive in the potholes then.
I ain't saying that. I'm saying you're right. People are going to demand more.
Yes, they are.
Pay my taxes. And why the road's still bad. And why the market ain't clean. And why the cemetery are grass overgrown.
Well, is it that
why they clean from the hospital regularly? People are, and they have the right to demand more.
But is it that the corporation's excuse would be that we don't have funds for that?
That will be part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. We live in hope.
Yeah, until we are clear how it's going to be allocated, because that hasn't been explained.
Exactly. And regardless of what regime is in authority, we have always had that problem with regional corporations saying they're not being properly funded.
Yeah. Let me add another dimension. The new Local Government Act has not been fully proclaimed. The people in there have not gotten their new job specs, remuneration packages, all of that. Add that, all that on top of it. Let's go.
Do you think that is deliberate?
I don't know. I have no information to suggest it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess, with all this property tax, more money going into the government offices, and I think we are still going to be plagued with the same situation at the end of the day with respect to the corporations and what they're supposed to do. Gentlemen, have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Yeah, it would be interesting to see how it all plays out, Paul, because you're right. People are going to demand more because they're paying more, and they're going to say, "I paid my tax. Where is X, Y, and Z facilities at wherever my community is, and how is it?" Because, for example, if you look at an Arima situation, I think most projects in Arima that's run by the Arima Borough Council have come to a halt. Because you're coming to the end of fiscal and they have no money. They have no money for things like cement and those basic things. So things that are ongoing, are a big pause button has been pressed. Linking also to the Arima Town Hall, where there was a front page article, I think last week, where the Arima Town Hall is still not occupied, even though it has been ongoing, has had ongoing renovations for, well, it seems like a year and more, but I'm not so sure about the exact time. It could be more than that. And nothing is happening, and there's a pause. And I think the contractors owed money. So you have all of that going on. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's happening in Arima alone, but I could talk for Arima.
Yeah. Caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Member of Parliament for Tunapuna.
Mr. Esmond Ford.
Good morning, Mr. Ford.
Good morning, Mr. Ford.
Good morning to you. Morning to Trinidad and Tobago, and also especially the constituency of Tunapuna.
What's up this morning, guys?
So what's going up with Tunapuna right now?
Tunapuna right now? Well, I think we're trying to use the Tunapuna model at the other 15 or 16 district offices as we speak, if I'm not mistaken.
What is that model?
You mean the Eagle Eye model, or is it the Eagle Eye?
All right. What's happening basically is that, again, we have been seeing online, on the newspapers, on the media, the various long lines, at the various Ministry of Finance offices for payments of the property tax. I got a couple complaints as the MP because Tunapuna has a district office. So I went down last week, Wednesday, I think it was, and had a meeting with the district officer at the facility. And, I told her, well, look, as the MP, I'm not too pleased with the long lines. It's not looking good, the crowd and the different things and stuff. So as an MP, I decided, well, look, we'll put in place, I'll organize to get some tents, I'll organize some chairs, I'll organize some water, some juice, in order to, make it as comfortable as possible. Right? We don't need to go into what went on with regards to the property tax, who want it, who don't want it. It's now law, right? People have decided to pay the property tax. So I decided, well, look, listen, let me make my constituents as well as other persons who have been attending in the line. As far as Westmoreland, I met a lady from Valencia, and coming from other districts in order to pay the property tax. So as of yesterday, 320 by 20 tents were put in place. Roughly about 250 chairs, and we have the space within the enclosed area, right, in order to ensure that the people are seated comfortable and they have access to water and juice as free as they want throughout the day. Additionally, we have MTS security guards which are stationed at the facility, but I decided to call the inspector at the Tunapuna police station in order to have some additional Trinidad and Tobago police officers on site, because as you all know, it's a cash payment as we speak. So we have some order down there, so we have no more long lines, people are seated, and roughly I think about yesterday, about over 700 persons would have passed through the facility. By 1:30, they just had about 15 persons to finish off, and the evening persons who were now coming in were basically coming in to spend as much, half an hour if so long, because the morning crowd would have been dispatched. Additionally, I think one of the situations is that they spoke about a short staff in terms of not having relief cashiers. So prior to yesterday, they were closing off for a 1 hour lunch, right? But from yesterday, they had 3 cashiers, so therefore, they worked throughout the day. So I think some efficiency has been put in place at the Tunapuna outlet.
Oh, so there's no breaking for lunch?
Yes. So they are now not breaking for lunch because they have the 3 cashiers. Before, they only had 2 cashiers, and they had to close from, let's say, from about 11:30 until about 12:30, 1 o'clock. Because when I say it's really a hectic schedule, they are trying their best to see how, they can be as efficient as possible. And what I can say also is that yesterday, the commissioner of the Board of Inland Revenue and her executive team visited. They spent about 2 hours at the facility. I give them a tour, to show them, well, look, what I have, the constituency has put in place. And they were very much pleased. And, they were saying that, they were trying to see if they could, put the model in at some of the other facilities. And then after she went to Grandi, and then I think today she's going to some other facilities doing some tours. So in Tunapuna, I would say there are no more long lines. The only problem I could foresee is in terms of if, there's any change in the cashing system. Staff is there, but the cashiers are the ones that really have to be present to ensure that the system runs efficiently. Without any relief cashiers, we may run into a problem. So all of that was identified, and I'm hoping that, within the next couple of days, that will be sorted out.
First of all, it's clear that you have been proactive, and we thank you for being proactive.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what was happening. You didn't just sit down and wait for somebody to try to fix it. That's very commendable. But that's your constituency, 1 out of 14.
Right.
You
Well,
know, I
well,
haven't
again-
seen. I was heartened to see you in newspaper pictures that you were in line looking and trying to get a sense of what people were going through. But that's 1 out of 14, and as I said, I commend you. But to me, that should have been a national rollout.
Right. Again, I could totally agree with you all, but again, as you know, it's I could only do what I can do within the Tunapuna constituency, right? And I'm trusting, as the BIR commissioner said yesterday, that he's going to see how best they can get it rolled out at other facilities. Because again, we had the big furor and the noise and the bacchanal about property tax, whether we should pay it, whether it should not be paid. And as far as I say, look, in Tunapuna, let's see how best we can make the people as comfortable. Yesterday I was there. I must have spent probably about 4 hours there yesterday, helping persons with forms, answering questions to the best of my ability. And the people, not a noise, not a curse word, not an angry individual. Everybody sat down and you know what I mean, took the time. And, we also have a numbering system in place too, right? Where the MTS security guard will issue you out, like for instance, the procedure is, like for instance, it's now 8 o'clock. So the system would have already kicked in from since 6 o'clock. People are there from since 5 a.m. They will start to issue numbers at 6 a.m. every morning. First come, first serve. Right? But because there is a magistrate court on the compound, they cannot let anyone onto the compound until 8 o'clock. Right? That's one of the questions we asked the commissioner yesterday, if you can communicate with the public administration and the judiciary to find out if the persons, when they get their number at 6 o'clock, can go in and have a seat, you know, in an orderly fashion, interfering with no one. But they said there is some system with regards to the courthouse that, you know, they cannot let nobody in until 8 o'clock on the compound. Right? So that's something.
It's a security issue. It's a court.
Yeah, it's a security issue. It's a security issue. So the people will still, so like for instance, between 6 and 8, you will pass and see people standing up and congregating outside. But once 8 o'clock kicks in, all persons are seated on the inside. No, you know, like for instance, last week I understand 2 persons fainted. I was even contemplated calling the St. John Ambulance Brigade to see if they could have a ambulance on site. But you know, I think for now, you know, we are pretty cool for now. You know, I think I'm pretty satisfied for now. I called Nestle yesterday to find out if they could, because you know people are seeing things happening, so they want to know, MP, you're bringing a coffee stand for us. You're getting something. So I called Nestle, and Nestle is right now trying to see if they can make arrangement to get a coffee stand on site, you know, in order so that people can get a little coffee drink during the course of the day. You know, people asking them before the Royal Castle is next door, could we all go and shower letter at Royal Castle and the MP will pay, you know. But I told them, you know, I'm not in a position to assist with that at this time.
Anyway, MP, thanks for chiming in this morning. We appreciate it, and of course,
Thanks, member.
I commend you for being proactive.
I appreciate that. Paul, it's probably Hillview in me, man.
That's
Could
right.
be. Could be.
That must be. That's the only reason.
And Wendell, don't let Steve Cannon tell you anything about any other school. It's Hillview College.
Steve Cannon went to Hillview, you know. He might show it all the time, but he did.
Well, I see.
Richard went to that other.
But Ford, if it was St. Mary's College you went to, the people would have gotten Royal Castle.
Well, again,
You know,
it's above my pay grade. It's above my
You know, I never heard anybody from CIC ever got former people getting an Oscar award. I'm just
Everyone
saying.
have a great day.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right, Minister. Thank you.
Safe.
All right.
All right, so this is where we wrap it up on the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Of course, it's a little bit after 8, so news is, you know, up immediately. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health.
All righty. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Tomorrow, Wendell will join us. But right now, let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief with Miss Universe.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for 8 o'clock news update. I'm Afril Sintil Bab. Good morning. Online options are coming to alleviate the long lines of persons seeking to pay property tax. This is according to Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, who was a guest on the Power Breakfast show on Monday. Manning said the government is well aware of the long lines that have been reported of persons seeking to pay property tax, and they are looking into ways to help. The deadline to pay property tax is September 30th. The London-based Privy Council has dismissed the matter brought by the Public Services Association challenging the implementation of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. Reports say it found no constitutional prohibition against the arrangements made by the TTRA Act. The TTRA is meant to replace the Customs and Excise Division and the Inland Revenue Division. However, the PSA brought legal action and a customs officer who, by way of her attorneys, cited as unconstitutional sections of the TTRA Act. Following the judgment, the finance minister posted on X, "We won the case. This required tremendous effort against the relentless opposition from the UNC and the PSA. Now we can modernize revenue collection in TNT." And Soca Star Marshal Montano says he supports the steel pan on the coat of arms. The reigning Calypso monarch and Soca superstar Marshal Montano has voiced strong support for including the steel pan on the national emblem. On August 20th, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced plans to replace the 3 ships symbolizing Christopher Columbus' expeditions and discovery of TNT and an image of the steel pan, or with an image of the steel pan. The proposal has sparked controversy in some quarters of society, with the TASA Association of Trinidad and Tobago contending that the TASA drum, rather than the steel pan, better represents local heritage. Opposition leader Kamla Prasad-Basasa did not outrightly reject the idea, but cautioned that the proposal should be carefully considered. For Montano, however, the inclusion of the steel pan is an obvious choice. But that was your 8 o'clock update. Look out for news and full at 12 now.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Legislation sets the tone for how we treat each other as a society. It provides those boundaries and the expectations, and it also upholds the rights of all of the citizens.
Legislation is important for everyone in society as it sets rules and regulations that create an organized, safe, and fair environment in which everyone is equal.
They form the opinion that because you have a disability, that you are somehow unintelligent, stupid, ridiculously asinine, you name it. So legislation is quite important, and I hope that legislation is soon coming so that people with disabilities can be who they are. People first, disabilities after.
Okay, let's go there.
Good morning. Welcome back, Minister Manning. Could you go back from the start? You said there were 400,000 or so eligible properties. That's it?
Yes. There are about 400,000 eligible residential properties in Trinidad and Tobago. We have sent out tax notices for about 175,000 at this point in time. And, if you only have to pay currently if you have received a property tax notice. If you have not, and you don't have to pay right now. There will be further tax notices sent out in the future.
Part of the eligibility criteria for the government to start this was to have completed, is it over 50% of valuations?
Yes. Well, what happens is that there are several persons who have more than one property. So that's why it's less than 200,000. You have 400,000 properties, but you have less than 200,000 property owners.
So what you're saying is very interesting, because you're saying less than half of the valuation notices have been sent out. Is that correct?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. We have about 400,000 residential properties. Okay? So half of that is 200,000. But the number of owners would be less than 200,000 because some owners own more than one property. There's the number of properties.
Understood. There's a difference in concept. I fully understand that. Now, and you've said we can confirm that if persons have not received these valuation notices, they're not obligated to pay at this time.
Correct. That is correct.
So the notice is on the property, not against the owner.
The ARV would be on the property. The tax notice would be on the owner. In a sense, it's the owner for the properties that the owner may have in their possession.
Right. So what I wanted clarification on, because you made the point just now that there are 400,000 properties, but less than half of that are actually people are owning more than one property. Is that what you said, right?
Yes, it's approximately that number.
Right. So as an owner, you won't get a notice for all your properties. You'll get it for each individual property, right?
You will get it for individual properties, correct.
Good. So as an owner of more than one property, you're only obligated to pay on the property that you would have received the notice for.
Correct. That is correct.
Good.
Right. Now, among the contentions of the public, because I'm sure you follow the media and the news as a responsible citizen and minister, there have been extremely long lines at is it 9 options to pay locations?
Yes. We are continuing to develop other methods of payment. One of them will include an online option where persons can pay maybe through their banking branches or online from their computers or phones, and that is being rolled out. So we are well aware of the lines that have been seen at many of the revenue offices across the country, and it's something that we are working to take care of going forward. So we are aware of the situation, and we are working to offer a solution.
Is it that the government underestimated the response of people going to pay these and being compliant?
I think some of the revenue officers may not have been in a situation where we believe that they could have handled it. And also, we didn't expect everyone, I think, to try to pay at the same time. If you had a steady flow over the period, then things would have happened a lot quicker. That is not what occurred.
Minister Manning, you are part of that ministry for a while now, and the substantive minister has had on several occasions to extend other tax deadlines because of our last-minute mentality in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Would that not be correct?
Agreed. But we were hoping that with 170-something thousand notices, we would have seen something different here. But clearly, that is not the case, and we are looking to offer different solutions going forward.
I know that you're a wonderful mother, as a woman of prayer, but not even that level of prayer would have changed our mentality in the country, Minister Manning.
Not at all.
You know that, right?
Optimism lives on forever.
Now, the other question, of course, you've just given us breaking news there because we're going to publish this, that there are online options coming. Why wasn't that put in place before? We have a whole Ministry of Digital Transformation. The substantive Minister Imba is on record as saying we want to move more to online transaction. Why was that not put in place before?
It's not a simple situation as that. It is something that is being developed at this point in time. You have to remember there are many other situations happening at the same time. You're also moving towards the TTRA, other things. So it was very complex to have done that previously. So we are working to get it done going forward. So that's the most I can say at this point in time. It will happen, and it's going to be implemented.
Right. So let me ask this question then. You're saying that the online option is coming. I gather that it's not going to come before the deadline of September 30th. Can we then expect an extension of that deadline?
I could not say at this point in time. That is to be determined by the minister.
You want to put him out in trouble? You want, but
he can replace with everything now. That's all right if Brian could replace.
Wow, withdraw.
Not my call to make.
Member withdraw. Minister Manning, but okay, is there a possibility of an extension?
Again, sir, I could not say. That is to be determined by the Minister of Finance.
How does the government feel about the response to payment compliance?
I think most people are willing to pay property taxes. They understand that the payment would be used to support local government goods and services throughout the community. Of course, without those local government services, people cannot enjoy the use of their properties. So most people are willing to comply. They understand the purpose of property taxes. We have one of the lowest rates in the region. It's 2% of the far lower ARV, far lower than the overall market value of the property. And that's why you see so many people willing to be compliant. You know, it's not onerous. It's not something that we're doing to really bring more hardship to the population. It's so that we will have a revenue source to really supply proper local government services to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
We would hope. It still is in the hands of the authority, the regional bodies, to use the money effectively. The other issue I want to clear up is that you've thankfully cleared up the issue of persons who may not have received valuation notices yet, that they're not obliged at this time to pay until they receive such notices. What about people who have gone to the valuation offices to lodge, to option the objection or the objection to the valuation levels? What are their options? Are they obliged to wait until that is clarified, or do they have to pay and some sort of other arrangement will be made after that the objections are reconciled?
No, I believe you should pay, and then you can lodge a complaint, and that way you are completely indemnified yourself. In most cases, I think even if you have lodged a complaint, it shouldn't be drastically different from the notice that you have, the tax burden that you have gotten so far. It shouldn't be dramatically different unless there's been a massive mistake. And if that's the case, then it will be put forward to your future payments. So I believe you should pay upfront and then lodge a complaint if you think that a mistake has been made.
Now, Minister Manning, I know that the end of the financial year is also coming, and a new budget is expected to be presented. Can we expect some sort of report on the property tax collected thus far in that budget and how it is to be distributed?
Yes, there should be a mention of that in the upcoming budget. As you know, this is the election year budget. We've had some challenging times in the past few years in terms of energy revenues in what is essentially an energy economy, where the government has done all that we can to ensure that there is sufficient funding available to offer some level of comfort to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our economy. It has been very challenging, but we are working to ensure that we can maintain a certain lifestyle in this country while also protecting the most vulnerable amongst them.
So did I get a hint from you that it will be an election budget?
He didn't hint.
It will be a budget in an election year.
Yeah. Minister, Minister, I have a question from somebody here asking if they cannot pay the full amount, if they could pay in installments.
Yeah, you can.
I believe the good people at the IRD may have a payment plan or solution for that. You would have to reach out to the revenue officer to see what those plans are.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, my experience when I went to pay, because I paid mine.
Hold on when he's speaking.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Mr. Manning.
The TTMB is also involved in assisting those in making those payments. So that is something persons could also consider.
Right. So I was given my experience when I went to pay mine. They did ask if I was paying the full amount. So clearly they're prepared to accept part of the amount because they asked me if I was paying the full amount. Sorry?
Because I think some persons would want to pay monthly, others would want to pay it all for the entire year. Those options are there.
Okay.
Now, switching gears a bit, I just got a document that suggests that indicates that the Privy Council has dismissed the TTRA matter and agrees with the Court of Appeal and High Court. Your response to this as a minister in the Ministry of Finance?
It was just an attempt to really frustrate something that we all should have known. There's nothing illegal about it. There are TTRAs throughout the region, there are TTRAs throughout the world. They are designed to really democratize tax collection within Trinidad and Tobago, to ensure that everyone pays their fair share. Right now, we have quite a few people who have escaped the tax net, and because of that, they will put a heavier burden on those persons who are actually compliant with the tax law. So the TTRA is designed to ensure that everyone, all of us, pay our fair share. Over time, that should lead to a lower tax burden for everyone in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I'm sure that you are aware of the latest, how should I put it, social media and frenzy concerning the comment about getting more people within the tax net in terms of, so they started to talk about snowbone vendors, doubles vendors, all manner of things you start seeing. Because I think it followed the comment made that more people should be registering their businesses. How is that to be rolled out?
Correct. Well, the TTRA is designed to really cross-check parts of the Ministry of Finance with others, whether it is PAYE or the BIR, so that it will become even more difficult for persons to escape the tax. That's what the TTRA does. It brings all of these organizations together under one umbrella so that cross-checks can be made. And that's how it's going to become more difficult. Those who are importing items for sale, then you have to be corroborated with other parts of the ministry and under the TTRA. So it makes it far more difficult than the previous system where you had one body doing its own thing and not being aware of what another body was doing within the ministry or customs and so on. So that's really how the TTRA works. It brings all of these different units together under one umbrella.
Now, I want to move the conversation to tax collection in general. And a sentiment that's been pervading the national conversation recently, there was disclosure that two pretty high-profile business entities would have come to the public domain, one with I think a $93 million tax outstanding and one with, I think, just over $30 million in tax. And the public, the one with the 93 recently told us that of that 30 million was outstanding tax, seemingly for 20 years. And the 63 million were penalties and interest. And the public asking, well, the government is doing what it has to do on bringing property tax, but there are seemingly large amounts of tax not collected from commercial business entities in the country.
Yeah.
Why?
People who have been dodging the making their lawful payments, and that's exactly what we're trying to put an end to. It can't be that we have certain people, one segment of society, paying their taxes diligently, while we have others owing the government millions of dollars, and we are trying to rectify that situation.
So is there a timeline? I know this was asked in Parliament when the property tax bill was debated. A new timeline, because I know timelines change based on the government exigencies, for moving from residential to commercial and industrial taxes collection?
I couldn't say about that right now. That is something that is being considered and looked at, and the Minister of Finance will make an announcement in due course.
The other issue I wanted to tackle, and Wendell referenced the upcoming budget presentation, is there going to be, because usually in a budget presentation, there's a reconciliation of the previous fiscal, what the performance should have been economically and fiscally. But there's still that ongoing controversy with the Auditor General and the final audited numbers for fiscal 23. And, well, she has made her report, and the government, they think there was about $700,000 that had not been reconciled. And a deficit, that has now increased because of unrealized revenue basis with the reduction in commodity energy prices and production levels in Trinidad and Tobago. How much?
I would be unable to make a public comment on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, shut me down one time. I couldn't even exactly.
And also submitting documents and information and so on. So I couldn't prejudice the matter in advance.
Hey, I like that. You're taking in the front there again. Brian Manning, anything you want to add before we close? Thank you for being with us this morning. Anything you want to add?
Yes, I'd like to thank the people of Trinidad and Tobago for complying with this property tax exercise. I know none of us would enjoy additional taxes. We've had a tax holiday for almost the past 15 years in terms of paying property taxes. But along with local government reform, the revenues from this property tax exercise will be used to cut through the bureaucracy of the current system and also deliver local government goods and services in a far more efficient and expeditious manner to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's something I'm extremely happy about and proud of, and I'm grateful that the people of Trinidad and Tobago have embraced that vision going forward. So thank you so much.
So Minister Manning, we expect to see some movement in local government reform, certainly before the next election, because you would have already collected taxes.
Absolutely. You just could not have had that reform without having the funding to support that reform. We had to have the tax situation rectified first, and then we can have the reforms and the funding that comes along with those reforms.
Okay. We're going to pin this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all the best, guys. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Take care. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The man batting the crease here.
There is a connection between government policy and law in the sense that all laws start as some type of government policy. So, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, we would have had the recent national policy on persons with disabilities. And that policy talks in very strong terms about the need to both enact laws to provide for the human rights of persons with disabilities. It also talks about the need to amend laws that we have on our statute books right now that discriminate against persons with disabilities. So once that policy is adopted and approved by the cabinet, then the process of making it a law can begin. The difficulty with the policy remaining as a policy, two things. One, it's not enforceable. So it does not really give you any rights legally because it's just a policy, it's not a law. And the other thing is that policies can change over time. Policies can change over time as the needs of the government or the focus of the government itself changes. It can change if the government itself changes, so that it's not enough for us to say, well, we have a policy. We have to take that further step to make the policy a law, because that is what will give full protection for the human rights of persons with disabilities.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Paul Breakfast Show. Of course, you can see on your screen we have Paul Richards and Richard Ragoobarsingh as well.
Good morning. Welcome.
Hi, and Wendell Steven.
And that's Wendell. He's in his car.
Departure.
Good morning, Mr. Hughes. How are you this morning?
Yeah, so far so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. What is your mental state given the last couple of days? How are you feeling?
Right now, this moment, I'm just excited for tomorrow morning's hearing in the High Court. It's the only thing I'm focused on. The last week has been exhausting. We'll say physically and mentally exhausting. But right now, this morning, I feel energized and excited about tomorrow.
Mr. Hughes, could you give us a current status as to the charges that have been proffered against you?
Yeah.
Because we're hearing some and we're not hearing some. What exactly are the charges proffered against you thus far?
Sedition. Sedition is the only charge, but I'm also facing a deportation order right now as well.
And what's the basis of the deportation order that you've been told about?
No basis at all. They haven't given any reasoning.
So not to your attorneys?
Correct.
So you've been, on one hand, you are in the country to fulfill the mandates of a bail situation, right? So you're here because you have to be here because the court said your condition of bail is to be in the country.
Yes.
And if you did not come into the country, you'd be running afoul of the law.
Yes.
And on the other hand, you're here because of the bail situation and your mandate to be here because of the bail situation, but you're facing a deportation order. Make it make sense.
Doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. My lawyers contacted the DPP office yesterday and they were not aware of the deportation order either. None of it makes sense to me. I was picked up in the night last week, arrested, guns pointed at me, etc. like almost like a movie. SUVs, blacked out SUVs, everybody in ski masks, arrest me, no reasoning, no. Now I know I'm not at home in Canada. I don't know all the laws here. In Canada, when you're arrested, they tell you why you're arrested, give you an opportunity to speak to a lawyer, etc. None of that happened. I was brought to a detention center, which I spent 72 hours in solitary confinement. My lawyer was not allowed there. They had to get in front of a judge to get whatever the proper wording is, to have the ability to come even see me. But even till today, none of it makes sense to me. Since I've been in the country, due to my appearance, my passport has been taken away from me since day one. I don't have the ability to leave the country. I wish I could leave the country. So again and again, it's like the country wants me to leave, but they won't give me the ability to leave, or somebody in the country. Because again,
just for clarification, we do have those laws. When you're detained under the Constitution and the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, you're entitled to know why you're being detained, why you're being arrested.
Right.
And you do have a right to counsel, and you do have a right to vote.
Right.
When you say you're facing deportation orders, walk us through that. Have your attorneys been told that you are and been given the document of the deportation order and the grounds to the deportation? They've been given.
Well, that's when I was detained and put into the detention center. There was no reasoning. It was just for that deportation. The document, the paper that I had to sign, just said deportation. With no
it has been reported in the press that this quoted a portion of the Immigration Act that says you've been deemed an undesirable inhabitant. Have you seen that?
Yes, I heard the word. It wasn't on the document itself, but I've heard the circulation of undesirable. Yes.
Have you been told that by any official?
No.
So you just saw it in newspapers.
There's no definition. I don't know what the definition of an undesirable is. I've come here for one reason, not as a tourist, not as a filmmaker, not as a YouTuber. I've come to fulfill my court appearance. I much rather would have done this virtually, which we requested with the lawyers, but no, the DPP said I had to be in the country.
So that's what I'm not following. If it is that part of your bail conditions is that you had to be present in the country, why would a deportation issue come up if you had to be here? I'm not following that.
Well, my intuition as a semi-intelligent individual is somebody's trying to put me through as much trouble as possible, because none of it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to me.
But it all comes from the same state, the state of Trinidad and Tobago, where you have been charged. You're under sedition charges.
Yes.
You applied for bail.
Yes.
Part of the bail condition is that you appear in person in the country for the court case, which is tomorrow.
My court case is done. My appearance in high court in order to get my passport back is tomorrow morning.
Okay, so the matter for which the condition of the bail has been completed, but you can't leave until the high court appearance tomorrow to get your passport back.
Well, to add more complications to it, now that I have a deportation order, even if I get my passport back tomorrow morning, I have to immediately submit that passport now to immigration for another immigration hearing. So I'm not granted permission to leave now that I have this new deportation over me. It adds to the whole process. So what initially, the reason I came here was for a 25-minute virtual court appearance. Just like the first trip I was here, ends up being weeks, if not months, of back and forth requests for my passport. It's a fight for my passport and for my freedom to leave.
So your first matter, the issue of the sedition charge, you said that was completed?
No, but the court appearance was completed, and my bail had been changed in a way that I was allowed to leave the country in between hearings.
Right.
And when has that hearing been adjourned to?
Now it's pushed to 14th of January, my next hearing. And remember, this is not trial. These are just, they're very
trial processes.
Yes, there's no reason that I would have to be here.
But I don't know what the court system is, so I can't say. I don't know if that's a requirement of the court system under the conditions of your bail or because of the charges that you're facing. You said you'd rather leave just now.
Yes, of course.
So that's the position you've come to now. You don't want to be here.
I haven't, nothing against Trinidad and Tobago. I had no reason to come back. Right. And if I did come back, let me come back for the 15 or 20-minute court and leave. But the whole process that nobody in the press is talking about is, see, my court case is in front of a magistrate court. Okay, because at maximum I'm facing 2 years in jail for this offense. Now, in my passport is lodged with the high court. Those are two different courts. So now, even though my magistrate court is complete and I don't have to return until January 14th, sounds good on paper, and people continue to say this, including Mr. Hines, that I'm here by option or voluntary, or I'm here filming videos. It's so far from the case. Like, I've been waiting weeks just to get in front of the high court to request my passport back. So again, it's a process, and I'm not here by choice. And a lot of people say, Chris, just leave. I can't leave. I'm on an island without a passport. My bail says that I'm not allowed to leave. So I'm doing everything I can to abide the law, but yet it seems like I'm being targeted for
What
being
was the second detention in relation to?
money laundering. What was the allegation?
And you were told that, or your attorneys were told that?
That's the document that I got. There was a warrant in which, again, police came and came into the home that I'm residing in and took all my equipment. And yeah, I was questioned for 14 hours by the gang police, undercover gang police, in regards to that evidence of money laundering.
But there was no charges. No charges made.
No, after the 14 hours, my lawyers said, prepare to be here for a long time again. But the truth is, you can't stick something on somebody that has committed no crime. There's no evidence of me committing money laundering. So how are they going to charge me with it? So after 14 hours of interrogation, they were straightforward. They have no evidence that I've committed a crime, so they had to let me go. But what happened the following day is that now they stuck this new problem my way, deportation.
And the equipment that was seized, has it been returned?
No. And equipment has been seized twice. So on my last trip,
what equipment would that entail?
So the first trip, same Mac, Apple computer, 3 cameras, and an iPhone, a new iPhone. So that was my first trip, and the same trip, like this trip, the same thing again. So it's double of everything. They got 2 MacBooks now, 2 iPhones, and 5 cameras.
But Mr. Hughes, who are your lawyers in this current matter situation? Because we had read earlier on that you had a problem with your attorneys, with the price and so on, and that you were seeking to represent yourself. Is that an accurate statement?
So now it's so complicated because there's 3 different matters now. I have my first criminal matter, which is sedition, which I'm currently facing myself. I do have a few senior lawyers that have sort of raised their hand and volunteered to help me pro bono. But I mean, as pertaining to tomorrow's high court, it's just myself. And then we have a civil matter in which we've started proceedings against the government for illegal everything against me. We'll put it at that. I've committed no crime here, and therefore there's no reason for me to be arrested or being kicked out of a country that I have to be here. I also have some gentlemen from Fortis that are helping me with this new set of matters. So it's quite complex now. There's 3 different matters over my head, and I have lawyers for some, and I don't have lawyers for others.
What's your gut feeling about what's taking place? Give me your gut feeling, because you're somebody with experience. You've been around the world. You've experienced issues in other parts of the world before. What is your gut feeling?
I've embarrassed somebody. Somebody doesn't like me. I'll put it that way. Somebody is upset that I was able to film areas that they might not be able to get into. Somebody, I have a newspaper in front of me, right? And I read the newspaper every day, no matter what country I'm in. There's no secret horrible crimes are committed in Trinidad. It's published every day, even on social media. But when an outsider comes in and says the same thing, if I'm committing sedition, where's the sedition here? Like they're just publishing the reality of what's happening in this country. I did no different, but somebody was upset that an outsider came in and showed the world what was really happening. Now, who is that outsider? I have no idea. But I know that I've committed 0 crimes while being in Trinidad.
You're not the first, and you're calling yourself an outsider. You're not the first non-national to come into Trinidad and Tobago and film stuff and put it on social media. What's the difference here in your opinion?
Well, when you say film stuff, what are we talking about? Like the type of stuff that I film? I'm absolutely the first one. People might have come in for a day or two, filmed, and then left and uploaded the video from a new country. But I mean, nobody did it the way I did it, going to the 10 or 12 worst neighborhoods and filming and uploading the video while I'm still in the country. So that's the difference. They left, I stayed.
So let me ask a question that people are talking out there, right? Because you hear certain things, right? And let me ask this question so we could get it on or off the table right away.
Yeah.
Is there a political agenda to what you are doing?
No, so ridiculous. See, I have a long list of 128 countries I've visited. If you or anybody here on this table were to offer me $100 million to name the 2 political leading parties, I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do it for my life. So I have 0 agenda. I often ask many people to talk on camera. Some oppose and some say yes. Some look at this as an opportunity to say, hey, Chris gets 8 million views per month. It's worth me getting in an interview. Some people will proactively reach out to me. Others won't, right? Well, now the people on the camera that I interview, I'm just interviewing them, but they might have a reason to want to be on camera, right? Like any human, but no, I don't actively go out looking, and I could care less about politics. In my own country, I've never voted in my life, so I'm not into politics, right?
You've done this in other countries. Have you ever encountered this kind of situation?
No.
In any other country that you filmed and posted stuff about?
No, not even close.
Never happened.
Never even questioned.
Someone puts a question in the chat earlier on. If you just came back for your court appearance, why did you come with 5 cameras?
No, I came with 1 camera.
Oh, you came with 1 camera?
Yeah, I came with 1 camera. People don't realize, but YouTube is fun for people, but this is what I do for a living. Okay, I'm part of an agency. I have to fulfill my duty just like anyone else. Like if, for example, Richard is going to take a week off in Hawaii, but still wants to participate in the Power Breakfast show from Hawaii, from the beach, he turns on his camera and does a video.
So that's your job, right?
Right. He has duties.
So do you have a work permit to operate in Trinidad and Tobago?
No, but I don't need a work permit. Just like he wouldn't if he was in Hawaii and he logged on to the Power Breakfast show to do the video, he wouldn't need a work permit either. I'm not taking away money from those that are in Trinidad. Okay, I'm working virtually, just like if I were to write a novel from Trinidad, and no, I don't need to. My 9-year-old daughter has a YouTube channel. Does she need a work permit? Are we suggesting that everybody that has a YouTube channel that comes to Trinidad needs a work permit? Is that what, I just want to be clear. Or is it just me that needs a work permit? Because
I'm asking a question because
no, but I'm answering the question in the manner that you're on very touchy grounds. Does everybody with a laptop need a work permit? There's no doubt when people are on vacation, they're answering work emails from the beach or from so where does the line get crossed? So no, I've been questioned by immigration many times regarding a work permit. No, I don't need a work permit to do what I'm doing. That rule has never been broken, and so there's no charges about that.
All right. Trinidad is a sovereign state, and you are Canadian national.
Yes.
Has the Canadian embassy become involved in this in any way?
No, they're observers. They're aware of it. I mean, since day one, we've spoken on the phone. But I mean, the best they've done is they brought me juice boxes when I was in prison for 7 days, and maybe some cookies or a chocolate bar. Like that's the best that they've done.
Were you upset? Are you upset in terms of how much the Canadian High Commission has looked into your matter?
More than upset, disgusted. I'm a proud Canadian. When you're locked up abroad and you're going through these type of problems, you hope and you wish that your country backs you, especially when there's no crime committed. Now, had I gone out and committed some vicious crime and they wanted to avoid me, 100%. I'm human. I understand why they're doing it. But the matter that I'm going through is a human rights issue. I'm being thrown charge after charge. What we didn't discuss is before my sedition charge, I was arrested on different charges, gang-related charges that didn't stick either. So it's an obvious attempt at my freedom. So this is one of the reasons that my Team Canada, should be backing me and helping me through the situation. But as they noted, they're observers. They're not like, they don't want to get involved. They just like to.
But what would you have preferred the Canadian diplomats or officials do on your behalf? What would you want them? What have wanted them to do?
I don't know enough about what their duties are, but I often watch on TV when an American is locked up, the American embassy will step up and do whatever it takes to get that person home to freedom and get out of the way of danger. So I would expect them to do more than just observe, like have some input. I'm a Canadian.
But did you make a request of them?
Just back, you're subject to anybody who comes into the country and has been charged under the laws of the country, because this is a sovereign state, have to go through the processes as prescribed by those laws. I don't think the Canadian officials can get involved in that situation.
Right.
So it has to be something else that you think that they can do.
I guess the definition of involvement could be different, right? Involvement could be, hey, let's go publish this in the Canadian news. Let's start reaching out to 100 of the biggest human rights resources. Let's speak to some companies in Canada, that lawyers that that this is what they work on, human rights, right? Let's reach out to the UN, see if there's any involvement. Let's do something. No, let's get Chris a juice box. Like there's no, when you're in a place that you're unfamiliar with, no family, no friends, you need somebody on your side, even if it's a pat on the back, to say we're here for you. We're gonna do something.
You felt abandoned?
100% abandoned.
But my question, Mr. Hughes, is have you reached out to the embassy? Has your lawyers reached out to the embassy?
So just so you understand the process, when I'm arrested, the embassy is the first one to get noticed. The embassy has known since minute one when I was arrested. So there's no need. It's not like a movie where you have to reach out to the embassy. They know, they're aware. Again, they visited me. They're quite kind people. I'm not saying they're not nice people, right? Again, when you're in jail, that juice box goes a long way. But I mean, more than that, there's been nothing from the Canadian embassy or High Commission at all.
There is a conversation going around because of what you described and what's in the public domain. Well, the sedition charge is one that has to go through the court system in Trinidad and Tobago. That as an aside. But because of what you're alleging, that and I'm paraphrasing, correct me if I'm wrong, that you probably feel you're being harassed. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yes, most definitely.
That because you've been now detained twice, you've been put in the detention center. There was talk about a gang charge that never materialized, money laundering charge that never materialized as of yet anyway, and now the undesirable individual situation, which is part of our law, but that has not been put on your deportation order. What's going to happen in the end is Chris Hughes is going to turn around and sue the state of Trinidad and Tobago. Is that part of your consideration?
100%. Not even consideration. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening
he
already.
indicated that was happening.
Yeah. Those papers.
What is your intention to sue the state for?
For everything. For not only the troubles that they're putting me through, the freedoms that they've taken from me. I'm guilty by association. You're throwing charges at me of money laundering with zero evidence because I did not commit money laundering. And I am a 46-year-old man that hopes to live to 120. So for the longevity of my life, I will have gang affiliated charges. I will have money laundering next to my name when you Google it. Okay, it is the association to a crime that I did not commit, nor was there ever any evidence of me committing. And I'll say the same with every charge that I've been thrown at here in Trinidad. Their attempt to tarnish my name is something I will have to live with far long after the sedition charge. Craziness. So will that impede my opportunity to get a mortgage on a house? Most definitely. Will there be times where I try to visit a new country and they search my name and they see this? Most definitely. My job is to travel, and Trinidad is doing everything in their power as a whole to keep me away from my job and making a living for my family. So when asked, did I initially come to Trinidad to get rich off suing the government? Don't be ridiculous, right? But time after time, you've said I've been detained twice. I've been detained more than twice on at least 8 to 10 different charges. So I'm obviously being harassed. I'm being targeted, all because somebody did not like one of my videos. Again, in my videos, no laws were broken. That's why all the charges were dropped related to gang promotion and gang aiding and abetting and gang whatever other charge they gave me.
Well, you just said the government. Are you willing to differentiate the government from the state, or do you think it's specifically from the government?
I don't even know the difference. I don't know about politics. I don't know about government and state. What I'm saying is somebody in power or somebody that has the ability to continually harass and detain me is doing their best to drive me crazy, because I have fear at night of police.
To follow up on Paul's question, Mr. Hughes, do you believe it's somebody in the government or as opposed to somebody in the police service?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know enough about the police service or the government. I couldn't name 3 people that work in the government. My job is actually quite simple. I visit a country with no knowledge. I walk around, I talk to people, and I film. I'm often told that I give people a voice that are voiceless. I don't come and I don't do research on politics or the hierarchy of the police station. I've met very nice police officers and military and correctional officers along the way. They stop and take a picture with me, but I don't look into it any deeper than that.
Have you been back in the areas that you went where this initial issue started? Have you been back in those areas since?
No. Well, I went to St. Paul once to film a video when I first returned, but no, I didn't go to any other neighborhoods.
When, as a blogger, your trade is part of the attention economy, correct?
Yes.
Right. Would you say that your sites have been seeing more traffic since your issues in Trinidad and Tobago, or your work in Trinidad and Tobago, or your blog, your video work in Trinidad and Tobago, and since your legal issues or your challenges in Trinidad and Tobago, or has it damaged or has it impeded your site?
Damage. It's completely opposite. Like people hear Christmas list, they see the name. There's no call to action. I'm not on these TV shows like, hey, go to my YouTube and start watching my videos. So what people are doing, they must be doing is just Googling my name. So, I mean, my viewership before Trinidad was 4 or 5 times higher per month than it is right now. Look, like any other human being in Trinidad, I'm getting tired of myself. I don't want to see myself in the news every day. So it's like I get nothing from this. And it's the opposite. I can't film. When I'm in other countries, I'm filming 30 videos in 30 days. Here, I don't have that ability. So I'm viewership is completely.
So do you think this whole situation has damaged your brand?
100%. It's not like everything is factual. So if you were to look at my summary of just very basic statistics over the last 3 years, and you were to compare that to the last 3 months, these have been the worst 3 months I've ever had. Not even close. So it's not even about what I think. It's actual and factual. It has made a huge impact. And my inability to travel. I can't leave. I'm stuck. I can't go to work in a different country. I can't move around.
So, Mr. Hughes, if this problem, right, if this situation developed because of certain videos that you made in certain areas, was there ever a proposal for you to
Wendell's first.
We lost the Wendell.
I think he said, was there ever a proposal to remove the videos?
I think that's where he's
going. Move those videos and we leave you alone? Has anybody ever approached you?
No. So my suggestion during my questioning phase of the sedition is, if my videos are seditious in nature, tell me which ones, and I'll remove them. And I have my disclosure in front of me. It's not right here, but it's somewhere here, where the people questioning me said, no, we would never ask you to remove the videos. Now, I took it upon myself to remove the videos for 2 weeks, just because I thought it would be the right thing to do during my locked up phase. When I was released, I asked again, is there any reason that I should have these videos down? And they said, no, we can't stop you from uploading videos. I broke no rules. I broke no laws in pertaining to YouTube. So YouTube didn't take down the videos. So when I got released from jail, I made them live again. They were always there. They were just hidden from public. But no, nobody has ever suggested or asked me to ever remove any videos.
No, the only thing that came to mind when I looked at your videos, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because my memory, because the video is not up anymore. I have searched for the video and I haven't seen it. Is you were in St. Augustine following some police involved shootings a couple of months ago. Would that be correct?
I don't recognize the name St. Augustine. Is there a different name it might have gone by?
St. John's Road. Could have been St. John's Road. Could have been.
I still don't recognize the name.
Yeah, but then it doesn't make sense going because there were police involved shootings, and I think the word "killed" was used, and it had me kind of jolted. But if you can't remember it, I can't.
So no video has been removed. So any video that has been there, the title itself might change. If statistically a title is not doing well, I might have changed the title. But the videos themselves, every single video I've ever filmed in Trinidad is live on my channel right now.
So what's next for you in this country?
Hopefully get out of the country. That's it. All of my equipment has been taken. I'm using somebody's laptop right now to talk to you. I don't have deep pockets, and every time all my equipment gets taken, it could cost me anywhere from like $6,000 to $10,000 to go rebuy all these items. I don't have.
So the original set of equipment has not been yet returned to you?
No, on both occasions. So
all your equipment is in the custody of Trinidad and Tobago's system.
Yeah. So even
laptops, 2 phones, 5 cameras.
Yeah. And you sort of touched upon it and said like nothing has been like built up of this money laundering. That has been dropped. Like that is null and void. The reason I'm not in jail is because there's no evidence of that. So that is not something. There's no charge against me. Nothing like that. But the items that were taken during that warrant are still being held hostage. Yes.
Have your lawyers?
So why haven't your lawyers? Yeah. Why haven't your lawyers applied to get them back?
They have. It's all part of the process here in Trinidad. Like it doesn't happen. Nothing happens immediately. So it's the due process.
What about the latest seizure? Because you would have had a laptop and cameras taken recently.
Yes.
Are they at least trying to get that back?
Yes.
And no success so far?
No.
Has anyone associated with you in the country also been questioned related to these proposed charges which never materialized and the sedition charge that you're facing?
No, not that I know of. You have to understand when I go to a community and I interview strangers, I don't get their phone number. We're not like pen pals. We don't keep in touch. I become aware the same way you guys, and I guess in the media, become aware by reading the newspaper. So I mean, I don't know these people. I don't know how to reach out to them, and I meet hundreds, if not thousands, of people in each country. So not that I'm aware of. No.
In an interview with one of our colleagues on this platform, I think in the afternoon, earlier on, in the very early stages of these challenges that you're facing, you said because there was so much attention and because where you were staying had been published, that you felt unsafe to a certain level. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Do you still feel unsafe?
Yes.
What do you feel? What makes you feel unsafe?
The not knowing. I guess rules are different country to country. I don't know the rules. I've never been in trouble in a different country. But when somebody I don't know how to put this without sounding like a big-headed man, but with somebody of how popular I've become due to these problems and a lot of fake information out there in news. Yet when I'm arrested last week and detained in warrant, it's released. The news releases the address where I'm at. So I mean, all it takes is one, we'll say, idiot with a grudge or that's upset or that's delusional, to end my life. So I'm always on the swivel. We live here with some big dogs, and the dogs are my warning signal. I jump up every single night when I hear those dogs at the gate barking to see what it is, what's going on. That's something
Would you say you've been treated well by Trinidad and Tobago Police Service?
How can I say that? I mean, there's individuals.
Well, I mean, they can do their duty and still treat you with respect. So that's where the question comes from.
Yes. I have no ill complaints against any individuals in the police service that I know. Obviously, I don't want to be arrested without evidence of a crime. But no, everyone from the people questioning me to the correctional officers in the detention center to every step along the way, I've met nothing but polite and kind, professional individuals.
That's great to know. How is your family dealing with this? Because you have a wife and children, and this must be something for them in Canada.
Yeah. My eldest son is 18. He's well aware.